カラフルに世界がそうなるの。ずっとそばにいたいの。止めないでメリーゴーラウンド。甘い色を重ねてカラフルに包んであげるよ。君にキュンってしちゃってカラフルに世界がそうなるの。ずっとそばにいたい
Gamers? Gamers! Hi, welcome. I know, oh lord, I do be studying. Lion, thank you so very much for the 20 gifted subs. That's definitely a way to start off a study stream. I'm so sorry, by the way, I was late. I feel like once you had gifted them, my announcement had also popped off, so I'm like, alright, let's go. But I wasn't really waiting for my announcement this time. I promise. So what had happened was, oh no, is that loud? I'm so sorry. Let me know if the music's a little loud. No, heck. I'm trying to like adjust volume, so heck. A lot of things just kind of popped up like last minute, and then I also decided to take a nap. So not only was I escaping my normal responsibilities, I was also just procrastinating. There's still so many things to do, but we gotta go study. But before I go study and stuff, again, thank you, Lion, for 20 gifted subs. I appreciate you growing the Sugar Bear community very much. I think that's at least 20, right? This is a study stream, not a counting stream. Anyway. But yeah, thank you everyone for your patience. Hi Stress, hi, welcome. Hi Roll. First backwards? Yes, that's you, Earl. Welcome. I'm Rebel as well. Let's go. We're going. You're starting. We're going. Hi, Rip. Hi. Finally, a Rip Time friendly stream. Again, I am so sorry. It's just by the time I get off of work and then by the time I like look at school stuff, I don't have enough material to actually go out and like practice stuff. So it gets a little overwhelming to try to like do any stream like before 7. Like I could, but it's just I don't focus on school stuff like after a certain period of time. That's out of both choice, habit, and just I'm so tired from the day being awake for more than 12 hours. So in another life I was a koala, not a bearcat, you know. But heck, let me put this stuff up too. But let me see. But yeah, today I forgot it was early stream. Yeah. So Fridays every time I have to go before classes and all that and meetups, I'll try to do it as early as possible. Oh, dies immediately. Well, now that I died. What happened? Oh no, I'm frozen in space. I only left with my hands. It's such a handful. I know. No, seriously. Oh my goodness, what happened? Are you okay, Luppet? I mean, that's okay if you're not okay. You don't have to say you're okay just because I'm asking. Time for tip along? Do you think I was gonna be like, what the heck? Let me try one more time and then I might actually get the tip along out. But I'm also like, now that you ask, or now that you say it, I know I definitely did get like what do you call it? Like would the equivalent be like a blue screen? Cause hello? Don't mind me. I do have to break out the tip along one day. Yeah. How I'm so big. I'm so big with my tiny hands. Oh my goodness. Let's get back to normal. Okay? That's as normal as we're gonna get. I will bring out the tip. You know, I think I still have tip along here somewhere. I know I had just recently like switched everything out. You know what? Apparently, heck me, I don't have tip along on here. But that doesn't mean we can't always have tip along. Let's see. Tippa in case of crash, Tippa nya, Tippa nesso, Tippa corner, Tip along. Let's go. Yes! Tip along will be here in spirit. I'm so sorry about the scuff. Anyway, Mitsuki-chan, hi, welcome. Hi, Big Ham, hi, welcome. Glad to see ya. And you're doing with those moves. I like it. I appreciate it. The emotional support moves I need right now. Mitsuki says, how was your day? It's pretty okay. Again, I'm just like rushing and like all over the place, but I need to like sit down, relax, and study, and that's what these study streams are here for, you know? But hi Sunny, hi, welcome. Hi Tips, is this where we learn about anatomy of buff Tip? Well, technically we're gonna learn about like the back muscles and like some of the rotator cuff muscles of the shoulder. So anytime someone has a really buff version of that, you could be like, oh wow, they're working their trapezius muscle, or you know, something like that. Lion Cat, thank you for the 20 subs. I appreciate it very, very much. Big owl. Hi, Nadia. Hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Lodge. Hi. Welcome. Hi, Zoro as well. Welcome. Cheryl. Hi. Thank you for stopping by. And hi, officially to you, Faust. Faust, I will fight everyone who calls you now. I'm a anti-spam caller person now. I'm so sorry you're going through that. I recently have been going through a lot of like random spam calls too, and I'm just like, huh? What? is this a joke? But yeah, hi gamers. Hi Garland. Hi, welcome. You first. I'm a little excited about waking up to good news. Oh, what's your good news? Either way, I'm very excited for your good news. If you got good news, I got good news. I don't have good news, but you know, it's nice. It's nice to hear good news. I got Sahando. I know. I'm so sorry. Stop, Sunny. You're hurting my feelings with this scuff. That one was definitely out of my control. Tip along was with us all along. Yeah. I'm halfway to tip along. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'll try for next study stream to have tip along, and if I learn how to use the program right, I could just put glasses so it's official. Abba, Garland, congratulations on affiliate! Pachi, 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 pachi! I can't wait till you get all those cool emotes and the animated emotes and everything just like that. So good job, good job! Rip says my good news are early tip streams? Oh, heck. Well, then I have a lot of bad news next week, right? No, I'm just kidding. But let's get started. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Oh, I don't want to lock my cat out. Politely leave door cracked for my baby. The foreshadowing, I know. I don't even know what days I'm streaming next week, technically, but it's okay. Tip afar. I'm so sorry. I did step away for a moment, but yeah, let's get to it, shall we? Let's see. What are we doing? Oh, bleh. So today's study stream is gonna be a little bit different. Other than like the obvious very early stuff that we had, I'm gonna be going through some foundational stuff. I had actually gone through this a little bit yesterday with one of my classmates. So for whatever reason, my course doesn't go through like this. Like it hasn't. We're like in the 3rd week and they still haven't actually talked about the spine. They're just like, no, the muscles. And it's like, huh? What? So even though I will never ever tell my classmates that I stream, or like I will tell them I stream, but I don't like I won't direct them over here, which is why, by the way, I've been appearing offline on Discord every time I go live now. It's because we're in a Discord channel all together, and it's just awkward. It's just awkward if one day they become sentient. And no, I'm just kidding. But one day they're just like, oh, this purple icon saying that she's streaming? Well, you know. I would have made a separate Discord if they weren't so active already and like adjusted to this new Discord. So I end up getting Discord Nitro, and so they don't really know I'm tipping yet unless someone's really nosy and decides to click through my profile. Hi Naga, hi, welcome. But yeah, it's something that I need to eventually adjust to. But yeah, I wish I could tell them, like, I wish I could help them and be like, yeah, look at these study streams. These are materials that we're gonna go over. But unfortunately, that's just not gonna be the situation. I will be more than happy to reiterate what I say now to them later, because I really think repetition and being able to teach others is pretty much the best way that I learn, so... I have some friends that found me through Discord. No, I don't connect anything with my Discord. It doesn't. I don't even think it has my phone number. Don't hack me though. But like, there's no way for people to find me. I'm a very private person, thankfully. That's not a challenge. I'm just saying. Like for other people, like separating online and online life and personal life is just like something I kind of grew up with, and it's just like a preference basically. Hacker voice, I'm in. Honestly. Hi Blood Knight, hi, welcome. You love when Twitch doesn't notify you, but a gift sub is notifies you. I'm sorry. Well, either way, you're here, so welcome. Hi, Rosalie as well. Welcome. Goodness. But yeah, because of all like the craziness happening as well, in addition to studying, the reason why this one is different, if I haven't already said so myself, is how do you say it? Oh yeah, no Pomodoro today. So I'm kind of just speed through it. Maybe small breaks after we're done with like certain sections. But that's about it right now. So good luck, have fun, everyone who's also cramming. Not Vodzelli. Hi, Roselli. But yes, Aurel, thank you so much for doing the little Discord command. Yeah, Blood Knight, and to anyone who's listening, you're more than welcome to join the Discord. There's notifications to be tagged in stream. I don't really spam notifications. It's just only when I'm live, and we have certain rules for things like anime night and jam sessions, which I'm still trying to find like a good in between for, and gamer night. So anytime we do group games, anyone's more than welcome to join. But yeah. Alright, so let's get started on the very basic stuff. So before we get into muscles, we're going to talk about very superficial stuff. We're going to be talking about the vertebral column. So as you see, this is actually conveniently color-coded green, orange, pink, blue, purple, into separate sections of your spine. So this first 7 vertebrae are going to be your cervical spine. These are going to be your smallest and most mobile. C1, which is going to be also known as your atlas. It's known as your atlas because it carries the weight of your skull, kind of like how Atlas carries the weight of the world. Smart. C2 is very important because it's actually the first thing that you'll feel, like, for whatever reason, Cups. If you're really feeling yourself, and I mean really feeling yourself, and you want to feel the back of your skull, if you kind of align your fingers midline, kind of where your spine would be, and you roll your fingers off your skull, that little bump that you feel right off your skull, it's most likely going to be your C2 cervical vertebrae. Why? Because you actually can't feel your first one. You see how it's kind of really into the skull, and plus it doesn't have a spinous process. What the spinous process means, it's kind of like this protrusion that you see going down the midline right now. Or, you know, when people say I could feel my spine or feel their spine or feel someone's spine, I don't know why you're feeling someone's spine, but you know what I mean. It doesn't have that bump back there, so that's why when you roll your fingers off, that's why you're going to be feeling C2. So C7 is also really prominent. This is the one where if you kind of like flex your neck, like if you look down like me and feel the back of your neck, this one actually protrudes out quite some time, and it's a very important landmark to do some palpations and even some muscle insertions that we'll talk about later. So after cervical is going to be thoracic. We have 12 thoracic vertebrae. These are less prone to injury because they're kind of locked into place because of the ribs. So you don't see a lot of people have thoracic vertebra injuries, thankfully. I mean, I hope you never have any injuries, but thankfully enough, there's not a lot of thoracic stuff. Plus, you know, our ribs keep stuff very, very safe, like our lungs and hearts and all that good stuff. So having kind of an injury in the column is kind of like, oh, monk-ass. Hi, Hero. Hi. Welcome. I'm just doing a little studying right now. So off the thoracic, we're going to move on to our lumbar. Our lumbar is going to be humongous, super big, and I don't think this picture really does justice to it. But it's bigger than the thoracic and cervical vertebrae, and it's the biggest because it's going to be the most weight-bearing. Think of what we're doing right now. I'm sure most of us, good job to those who have standing desks, are sitting down, but even if you're standing, you're still bearing a weight down there, just kind of how the weight distributes. It has to be big because again, it's going to be handling most of your body. From there you have your sacral, which is S1 to S5, which is all fused, which is why it kind of looks like this. And then your coccyx, which is also known as your tailbone, is going to be right here. It's about 3 to 4 vertebrae fused, but we don't really count it as numbers. We just say the coccyx, and that's about it. Hi Naoki, hi Zero, hi. Huh? Tapapapanya. Bearing weight, yes. Bearing weight of all the sins that we've committed. No. Just in general for how we've lived our lives, and obviously weight varies and yada. Lumbar vertebrae holds all weight except sins. So a really fun way to kind of memorize the numbers, because the numbers seem a little bit different, right? is my classmate actually taught me this yesterday. Something about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So at breakfast, you want to eat at 7, hence 7 cervical vertebra. You want to eat lunch at 12, hence 12 thoracic. And you want to eat dinner at 5, hence the lumbar. So 7, 12, 5. Ta-da! Posture check, I got you. Let me politely uncross my legs. So we have, oh no, well that's not a genital, it's fine. So pretty much we have different kind of movements that we talk about. We talk about flexion and extension. Flexion is kind of when you bend down towards your toes. Extension is when you bring yourself back. Just a Ken doll? Yeah, basically. We got lateral bending, lateral meaning side, so side bending, da. And then we have rotation, which is just kind of doing the little twist, little stretch. So is cracking your neck a good or deadly thing? Well, I have bad news for you. No, I'm just kidding. Really, I am not as professional to give you a professional answer, but to my understanding, a very general rule is how do you call it? If you're popping your joints or you're popping anything and it doesn't hurt, you're okay. But if you're popping and it hurts, that's where the call for concern will occur. So please be careful with that, okay? Toro says, what if I eat breakfast at 12 and lunch at 5 and dinner at 10? Honestly, I do the same thing. But ideally, in a society where you're a productive adult who wakes up at like 5 a.m. and they go to the gym at 6 or 5:30, they're done by 6 to get ready, and then they decide to eat breakfast at 7. Yeah. That's the schedule for them, you know? Anyway, so we talked about the different parts of our spine: cervical, thoracic, lumbar, and sacral. They're all going to have these wacky curvatures. So the first one is going to be your cervical curvature. This one is kind of, you see how the curve is going towards the front of the body and it's curving like this? This is going to be a concave curvature, also known as lordosis. So you can have cervical lordosis, but I feel like that's a much common thing you hear in the lumbar. So the fun thing about the spine is that it is this S shape, and with this S shape, it kind of has a pattern of going like 1 2 1 2. I don't know if that necessarily makes sense, but you have your convex, concave, convex, concave. It's again that on-off pattern. So again, the cervical is going to have that concave curvature, also known as lordosis, and your thoracic moving down here is going to have a kyphosis curvature or a convex curvature. If someone has excessive kyphosis, you see a lot of people have a hunchback, similar to that very popular Disney movie like The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This is how people, excessive curvature, like again, pushing this a little more to the left, that's how you're going to get that like posture. For the lumbar, you see we have the lordosis. So again, we're going back to that pattern, and we're going to be having a cave curvature right here, also lordosis. I think there's a picture here somewhere. Goodness, I hope. Oh, it might be in another one. Aw, that picture's actually really good, so I would have loved to show you, Cubs. Let's see. We'll figure it out. Lordosis is kind of like someone's back going in. I like to say it like this, and no disrespect to people who do this, but you know when people want to make their like butt look bigger for photos, like they'll pop out their butt. When you pop out your butt, you are kind of pushing in your lumbar more anteriorly or to the front, and so you're increasing the curvature of lordosis and your back to get that booty popping. And because of this, sometimes kind of those repeat motions or kind of having that prolonged posture creates that excess lordosis, or like other stuff creates lordosis. Like I have lordosis not because of anything like that, it's because I also just sit down and that doesn't help. How do you call it? And that's what creates that curvature basically. So how I kind of remember the difference between kyphosis and lordosis, it's a really, really silly thing, so you'll have to forgive me, okay? So when I think of kyphosis, I think of like the word cryptic. The spelling's kind of weird to me, and I don't know, it's just something in my head like turns into like, yep, cryptic. So sometimes when not disgrace to anyone who actually has a hunchback, because sometimes these are conditions that you obviously can't control. It's like, oh wow, that's a little cryptic. You know, you don't see every day someone with a hunchback. And then with the lumbar and lordosis, how I remember lordosis again is that like booty popping posture. So it's like, oh lord, big booty. I don't know. I told my classmate this yesterday, and she was just like, I get it, but I still felt wrong explaining. Not wrong as I'm giving incorrect information, but I'm like, this is not a way to necessarily learn. Blood Knight says that would be hard to know if you're an M, huh? Because pain is like a good thing for them. No, wait, Blood Knight. The idea with those kind of people is that they at least feel the pain to kind of like turn their brain to say, hey, that does feel good, but it's still the sensation that they feel pain, so they can still answer the question like, hey, are you having pain when popping joints? It's not necessarily a feel good or feel bad, it's just is pain present with popping. We have a stinger? Nice. Yeah, that's your little tailbone. If anyone gets like, if you if for whatever reason you want to get super cursed and you get really angry at someone, you just leave your body. You're only a skeleton and you sting them with your little tailbone. Anyway. So here's more pictures about the kyphosis and lordosis and such. These curvatures are really important because they're giving us the ability to walk, which is why babies, it takes a long time for them, I think maybe around the age of 2, to start walking, because you see when they're a fetus at 2 months, they don't really have that curvature, they don't have that S. They have the spine, but you see, slowly but surely we're getting that curvature. This is right here, and then here we are as an adult. Tip of just dropping scientific terms like booty popping. Tip, please speak English. Oh, I'm sorry. Excessive lordosis of the excessive lordosis of your gluteal muscles, your gluteus maximus, minimus, and medius. The more you know, exactly. So pretty much how we get to form this curvature throughout our lives is that walking and sitting upright do form it. It's not something that forms naturally on its own. Of course, it's going to progress with age, as you see, as the newborn will eventually start standing because they're able to hold themselves, and then they're able to start walking. Vertebral compression fractures are something that is not fun whatsoever, but surprisingly, it's not something we actually talk about in this course, so I'm gonna politely skip it, okay? But it's just the idea of, it's kind of in the name, vertebral compression fractures. Your vertebrae that we were just talking about that was sectioned off is going to be compressing onto the other. Now this could be awful for blood supply, nerves, etc. It's just going to make your life really difficult, so please try to avoid any kind of fractures, you know? Be like me, never break a bone in your life, teehee. So moving on to lordosis. Lordosis, this is a normal spine right here, similar to the image that we were seeing earlier. And here's lordosis. You see how that there's so much curvature going anteriorly. So when you kind of, again, make that motion, again, it's that booty popping that you leave right there. But this is someone's normal posture. This isn't just like a temporary thing. So big, it looks painful. Yeah, it is. Centea, hi, welcome. Posture check. I will uncross my legs for the second time. Thank you, I appreciate it. Hi though, welcome. So going from lordosis, we're gonna actually talk about a little bit of scoliosis. So for whatever reason, again, this program doesn't talk about scoliosis yet, so we're gonna give just a brief overview of scoliosis. Is pretty much when your spine looks like this. This is not a normal spine. We did talk about this S-shaped curvature, but when you're looking posteriorly or looking at someone's back, this is not normal. So basically the head is not centered over the body. One shoulder tends to be higher than the other, so the left here, the right here. One shoulder blade is higher and more prominent, so when you look at their back, like right here, their shoulder blade is popping out more. The spine is obviously curved, so you know normally when you look at someone's back, it's a straight line. There's definitely this slant right here. Unequal gaps when they're just standing still, because again, they're just slanted to one side of the body. So we see for thoracic, this person has like a left gap, and this person with lumbar has like a right gap, just because of, again, how it's curving into. And then one hip is definitely more prominent than the other because you're compensating. Oh, hi Gon, hi, welcome, and hi Tenno, hi, welcome. Are we being educational? Yes, we are. We're trying our best, or trying. I had scoliosis when I was a teenager. Had to undergo special gym courses to straighten myself out. Ah, I'm so proud of you. So yes, with scoliosis, which is I feel like a relatively like common spine thing that we hear in individuals, there's pretty much like two ways that people can treat it. They can go through a non-surgical procedure where they kind of have a brace that they will use, and throughout time it will straighten itself out in addition to exercises. Or some people go the operative route and they do surgical intervention to make sure that, hey, let's get this straightened out. I think the surgery though, however, has like a time gap, but don't count me on this because I really actually don't know. I imagine the images are like fairly extreme examples. Oh yeah, but like this girl that you see on the right is definitely just like what you would see normally. But yeah, so now that we talked about conditions, let's actually just talk about the anatomy of the vertebra. Let's just take a very general one. This one looks like it is the cervical one, and let's actually talk about some landmarks in just basic anatomy, because when we go over muscles, we're going to be talking about where they insert to, where muscles are going, and why the vertebrae are important, not just because it's our spine, but because of other things that go through our spine, or what our spine protects, and what holes do what. The worst stages of scoliosis are not pretty. No, I don't imagine it to be. I would humor myself and look at photos, but I do not. I think you get a couple inches taller after the treatment. I feel like it, right? Because I feel like you're just like this, so when you get upright, it's just like, wow. But yeah. So, again, like I said, this is our cervical vertebra. So what's going to be really important is that we have a spinous process right here. The spinous process, like I said, is the thing that we're going to feel directly on our back. If you ever feel like a prominent bone sticking out the midline of your back, you're actually touching your spinous process. We have the transverse process right here. We have a transverse process. Transverse just means like out to the side, like this left and right. And that's what they're doing, they're sticking out. We have the vertebral foramen, which is just a hole for our spinal cord to be in, and that's how our spinal cord is protected. And then we have the body of the vertebral, so we got a chunky boy right here. Other landmarks that I want to note is that we have the lamina and pedicle. So I'm not necessarily sure why they're named this, but this is how I remember. So you want to get to the big boy body, right? You need a pedestal, or in this case, a pedicle, to get up to the body. As for lamina, I'm not really sure. I feel like there's a word relating to snake in lamina, or like something like that. I feel like maybe I've even seen it during like my Persona playthrough, but I associate the word lamina with snake. So you have a lamina here on this side, and they come together to kind of form the spinous process. This is a bird's eye view from like above. So when you look at the side like this, here's what it's looking like. Again, here's your transverse process. Here's the spinous process that's sticking back here. And then these little things are our little articulation places where each bone will be kind of touching on to each other. Actually, don't. I hope the bones are not touching on one another. You actually have it in IV disc right here, intervertebral disc. Don't let it touch. Don't let it touch. Lamina means like sheets in Spanish. Oh, wait, really? I'm only like, papel. Daragon, hi, welcome. Interested in the vertebral? Oh, but sorry, Tenno, yes, to answer your question, by the way, do I have medical education? Yes, in a sense that I am in school right now, and that is my medical education, baby. I don't know anatomy, but I know the spine is a sinus. Wait. But I know spine is a sinus segmented plan of body development. We have descended from wormy beings. Our body split into segmented bits. Yeah, like actually, I don't necessarily remember this example, so you'll have to bear with me, and I apologize for this. But the curvatures in our spine are super important. That's what differentiates. Oh goodness, I'm not an English major. It makes us different from that's what I get for trying to sound smart. From other animals, especially like gorillas. I know it's like, huh, what, Tiffany? Something about the spine of like a gorilla's or like a monkey's back is actually different from humans, and that's why we're able to walk upright while they are still in a curved position when they walk. Again, that is just what they're used to, of course, but yes. Differentiate. Anyway, so here's just another picture. I honestly don't care for this picture of the vertebral. I don't think it makes sense, but I'm also kind of like, if I don't see the real thing, I don't understand. Excuse me, so let's move on. So another thing, so we talked about the body, we talked about the transverse process, we talked about the spinous process. So here's some other landmarks that we have right here. We have the superior articulating process and the inferior articulating process. Articulating means that it's going to kind of associate with the other bone or the one above or below it. And this is really, really important. Intervertebral foramen. Again, anytime we see the word foramen, I don't think there's any other pronunciation for it. It means hole. So this literally translates to in between hole of the spine. This hole is very important because it's gonna let spinal nerves escape from the column. Spinal nerves are gonna be pretty important when we talk more about it after this upcoming exam that I have. So please be more patient, okay? So even though I know we had sectioned off each of the vertebrae, again we had our cervical, thoracic, and lumbar as the three main that we're going to be focusing on, each one has kind of fun distinct processes that we should identify. So like I said, we have seven cervical vertebrae. So right here, this is just a general image of what these cervical vertebrae look like. The ones that you want to be able to identify because they are so unique is C1, which is our first one, C2, which is our second one, and C7, which is going to be our last one. Like I said, look at this big boy with his spinous process. Again, if you palpate or if you touch the back of your neck with your head flexed and you're rolling down the neck, you're more than likely going to be able to feel that seventh one right there. It's super, super, super prominent. And let's see. C1, like I said, doesn't have a spinous process, so you won't be able to feel it. But your C2 does. Your C2 also has this thing called dens, or like the odontoid process. This is also really important for head rotation. So anytime you turn, you thank the dens. Thank you, dens. Or thank you. Sorry. I take everything back in my life. Huh? Gon says I'll give you my spine for good luck. Thank you. I need it. I need heck, a joke. Come to me joke. I need a back to lean on. Anyway, so yeah, cervical vertebrae are going to be your smallest vertebrae. They're going to be known for having this bifurcated spinal process. I know bifurcated seems like a big word, but just think of the root of bi. Bi just means two. So instead of one narrow spinous process, it's just going to have these little two things here. Why? Better for attachment sites, my dear. Let's see. We also have these transverse foramen, which are going to be important for arteries and blood supply to the brain, which we'll eventually get to, so it is okay. Let's see. So we have the vertebral artery going through these transverse foramen, which is going to supply blood to the brain, which is something we'll talk about way later. Here's another picture of the C1 and C2 in focus. So again, C1 is our atlas and C2 is going to be our axis. Here's a not IRL. Maybe it is IRL. We just took someone's C1, C2. You know, the usual. It's for science. But you see the C1 how flat it is, and then the C2 with the dens process, which is again very important for the rotation of the head. And we're seeing the articulation right here from that kind of slight bird's eyes view. That bifurcated thing just means like a fork split into two, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yes. Any kind of like split or divide like that. We haven't actually talked about ligaments for whatever reason, so we're gonna skip. Alright, so we're moving on to the thoracic vertebra, or actually, ooh, scary bone picture, but not really. You have bones. Anyway, moving on to the thoracic vertebra. So these are going to be important because these have costal facets. Anytime you see the word costal, you're going to associate the word costal with ribs. Of course, our thoracic is going to be dealing with the ribs, and we have 12 whole hecking ribs. Each rib is actually going to articulate with the thoracic vertebrae right here. So just imagine, whoop, one big spine, whoop, one big spine, whoop, one big spine. Let's see. The interesting thing is that the number rib, so if you're in this example, the 6th rib is going to actually articulate above the thoracic vertebra. So the 6th rib is going to be articulating, or is going to be placed above the 6th vertebra. So anytime someone asks you, okay, what is the rib between 5 and 6? You'd be answering 6. So what is the rib between 4 and 5? It would be 5. What is the rib between 3 and 4? 4. So yeah, here's it articulating right here. So here's our a costal facet, and then the rib sticking out, and this is just a random rib. All this talk of bones is making me stand up straight while working. Thanks, Tim. No problem. Fun Bearcat fact for you, Cubs, by the way. So this is something we will talk about like towards the end of the stream, but there is a forward head posture. Do you think we could actually get a good image? Let's see. Forward head posture is pretty self-explanatory, but I think I need to like show it to you, Cubs. Forward head posture. Excuse me. Oh, this is a good image. This is the one that they use to scare people, so I guess it works out, right? So I'm so sorry, I had to like zoom into this bad boy, but forehead posture is pretty much this posture that you see on the right. It's the idea that your head is already so heavy, it's about 10 to 12 pounds, that the more that you kind of like hunch over, as like, especially like when people are studying or doing office work or on their computer, they tend to like lean their head forward for whatever reason. The more that you do this, the more that your body will adjust to this, and your muscles get weak, some get tightened, yada yada yada. But the more that you shift your head forward like this, now your head is suddenly 32 pounds, so it's really, really heavy. And then the further that you go, especially you see a lot of this in people of like older age, their head is like all the way over there. It's not aligned anymore to this red line. And then your head is like 42 pounds, so congratulations, big head. But in all seriousness, forward head posture is something that we can work on little by little. Just doing little retractions or squeezing of the shoulder blades, making sure that you're back in alignment, making sure that your head is over, well, your body is very important. And I guess tucking in your chin while you're sitting down can kind of help. But like if you do like, what was it? I think it's like 5 for like 10 seconds, you can try to prevent this kind of posture, you know? Huh? Bones can't hurt me, they're not real? Exactly. Bones are not real. What the heck am I studying? No, I'm just kidding. Huh? So that's where my rib ended up? Oh yeah. That's a gamer neck? Yeah, that's the gamer posture. Hi, JJT, hi, welcome. How are you doing? I'm doing good. I'm just studying a little bit. I'm actually feeling a little parched, so I'm actually going to politely sip some water. So you're gonna hear squeaky water bottle water intake ASMR. Maybe not. That I feel subconscious every time, so hold on. Okay. So now that we're done talking about that, here's some more pictures of the ribs. So you see we have T7. T7 again is just, how do you call it? Thoracic 6 and thoracic 7. So just any of the thoracic vertebrae, just number it again. Remember again that we have 12, so this is just the example of 6 and 7. So what rib do we have above here? In this case, it's going to be 7 because again, the rib is going to articulate superior to the thoracic vertebra. What are you studying, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, I'm studying anatomy right now. Ta-da! Right now we're gonna be going over the bones. We're going to like very basic bone spine stuff because these are names that are gonna pop up much later when I go over muscle. And yeah. Fun Bearcat fact: Tippy wears the neck thing to hide her gamer neck. This is actually secretly my neck brace, so I never have gamer posture. First I was subconscious of my walk, now I'm subconscious of my posture sitting down? I'm sorry! I'm sorry! Just always be aware of your body, stand up and stretch, take like nice breaks, don't be like me. I use a Pomodoro to ensure that I stand up because if not, I can't sit for 8 hours at a time and I only get up to like eat and pee, so like, huh. Anyway, so now that we're moving down, we're going to be going to the lumbar vertebrae. Lumbar vertebrae, as we said, is going to be the most weight bearing. It's the most heaviest. It's the most bulky big boy that we have right there in our spine. Also, another thing that we can note about it, or what is a unique feature about the lumbar vertebra, is that it has a mammillary process. So this little bump right here, I'm going to be really brief, I'm going to be really blunt, teacups, so I really apologize. You can associate, or how I remember the mammillary process is because I associate mammillary with obviously breasts. So I'm like, oh, that's just a nipple on the spine. And so hence the mammillary process that's coming off of the superior articulating process. So superior articulating, mammillary process, little nipple. Hi friend, hi, welcome. Biology? Yeah. More heavy focus on anatomy at the moment, so we're just gonna be like, wow, a bone. So here's your sacrum. So as you see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but these are all fused. There's no way to really seriously identify. I mean, you can identify 1 through 5, but that's not necessarily for the course. As long as you know the word sacrum and you know this is the coccyx, you're a-okay. Pretty much the spinous and your transverse processes are fused together, which is why we get this fun, wacky, almost shell-like shape. Wow. What were these streams? Or when I had 2 years of anatomy? I'm sorry. Go back in time, but go forward in time. Go forward in time so you have the power of time traveling to go back in time to be like, here, my friend, anatomy streams from a VTuber, and they'll be like, what's a VTuber? And you'll be like, you're welcome. Fred says, I'm actually thinking of going to biology genetics to be specific. Oh, that's so great. I've never taken a genetics class before. My only experience was back in middle school when I when I think I was in 10th grade, and I had to make a child quotation marks with the guy right next to me, which sounds awful when I say that, but we're doing Punnett squares, and you know, it's like, oh, do you have a widow's peak? No. Do you have this? No. What color eyes are you? No. Okay, this, and then we had to get all the traits and make them, and then draw what the child would look like. It was actually pretty like funny, but it was just really awkward to be like, here you go, and it's like, huh? Anyway. Bearcat says, anatomy is still my weakest subject. I got you. I got you. Anatomy is not necessarily I know that sounds very like dummy. Anatomy is not necessarily my strongest subject either. I like basic biology more, but my major and all that requires very heavy focus on anatomy, and I feel way more comfortable with all the experiences that have led up to now, so I am more than happy to help if you ever have any questions. But if you don't need it, don't worry about it. That or chemistry? Oh no, I couldn't do chemistry. Any like math related like sciences is just out the window. Physics sucked for me. I actually ended up having to drop it at one point because I knew I was not going to get a C or higher, so I felt really bad. But it was also like a guy who decided, hey, I'm going to I'm gonna do open response physics questions. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? I don't know what I'm doing. So when I had my first test and it was like an F, I was just like, all right, I gotta go. I gotta leave. I'm so sorry. Thank you, everyone. I know I was gonna try. I will try harder next time. What colors are you? What color eyes are you? No. 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 Biochemistry sounds fun. Half of it sounds fun. Yeah. Mine is also anatomy heavy, but I like physiology personally. I like physiology too, but sometimes some of the components of it kind of gets a little wacky. But we'll get there when we get there, basically. I think physics is fun. I think the only thing fun for me personally with physics was actually magnets. Or not magnets, I'm sorry, circuits. I thought circuits were really fun. For whatever reason, that was just a concept I got with ease. But maybe also circuits are probably one of the easier things you can learn in anatomy, so big heck. I mean anatomy, physics, sorry. Bigger heck. So here's just a more anatomy of the sacrum. We don't really need to know any of these quite yet, but knowing the base of the sacrum is important, and the apex. Anytime you see the word apex, it's kind of like a narrowing or like a point. So ta-da! Apex! Tune into my next stream where I have apex stream. No, I'm not. I'm actually not doing it. I haven't actually touched apex in many years. I know I feel like I see it more often pop up in my feeds, and like I feel like more of my friends are playing it again, so I'm tempted, but not convinced. So you have some ligaments in the vertebral column, which are going to help with stabilization. You have the anterior and posterior longitudinal ligaments. These are pretty handy. Again, it's all about stability. And the anterior is going to limit flexion, while the posterior is going to limit... Wait, I said that right? Anterior is going to limit extension, and the posterior is going to limit flexion. So when you bend forward to touch your toes when you're standing, this posterior ligament is going to limit you. And the anterior, it's going to limit extension, so you can't go too far back when you lean back because this ligament's going to stop you. All for safety reasons, of course, okay? We have some ligaments that we'll talk about later, but the biggest one that I want us to know, or some landmarks especially, or actually just all of it. So we have a supraspinatus muscle, but it's not to be confused with the supraspinous ligament. This is going to run all the way from C7 to L3 to L4. Supra meaning like above, spinous ligament, so above the spine ligament. Easy peasy. We have your ligamentum nucleic or nuchal ligament, which is actually going to cover C1 to C6. Maybe C7? I don't know why I had like scribbled this, so don't mind me. But maybe it's more safe to assume. Oh no, okay. It is C1 to C6, and then C7 to L4 is going to be your supraspinous ligament. Ligamentum nucleic is going to be really important when we talk about the later muscles, like the trapezius and actually I think it's just the trapezius right now. The external occipital tuberance is actually going to be that small bump that we feel still when we know we're on the back of the head. Again, once you roll off the back of the head though and you feel the spinous process, that's going to be your C2. So fun palpation reminders. I don't know what's the problem with me in an anatomy theory gun says. Am I Vivas? The teachers would ask basic stuff, not freeze, not being able to point out where my hip is. No, I feel you exactly. Oh, dies again? No! Well. Huh? Huh? I might have to bring out the tip along. Sorry about that. Oh no, I didn't want this one! I don't have glasses! I think the glasses are like a very cute feature, so one moment. Where? Am I okay now? I'm so big! I politely put myself back. I think that's proportional. But yeah, I had trouble with like certain things, like especially with the hip when they're like, what's your ASIS and what's your PSIS? I'm like, what? And it's just dummy because I know it's in the name. It's like anterior, like we'll get there when we get there basically, but I freeze up on basic things. I just don't like being called out basically. Robo says we had all of our physics classes before even going to trigonometry for some reason. What? So during optical calculations and whatnot, we just work with these mathematical operations that we may as well been magic as far as they work. I'm so sorry. Trigonometry was a really good math subject for me. Every other math subject can heck it. Why did I take pre-calculus in high school? No idea. But yeah, trigonometry is a little wacky if you don't know it. So have that before physics. Holy heck. I'm sorry. Well, you made it through, so let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Anyway, I'm sorry. Sorry, we're skipping through some of these because they're just not talked about. Oh. In the vertebral column, we have the IV disc, or like I was saying, the intervertebral disc. These are going to be like the little jellies that you see in between the vertebra. These are really, really important because they're going to act as shock absorbers. So what we have here, maybe is this a better picture? We have the annulus fibrosus, which is going to keep all this jelly-like substance, which is the nucleus pulpus. I'm pretty sure it's like populus. Anyway, it's gonna keep that all contained in right here. This is super important because, like I said, it's gonna be your shock absorber, especially when you're compressing on and off the spine. Whether you stretch, you stand, you walk, any type of weight-bearing activity. Zio says, should I do my homework? Yeah? You want to do your homework together with me? I probably can't help you with your homework, but it's the idea of, like, if you see someone else working and studying, that you also want to work and study. Like, that there's backup with that, you know? That's why a lot of people like to do their stuff at the library, because other people like to study and people are quiet and, well, we hope that they're quiet and considerate, you know? But yeah, I would hate for you to fail, so do your homework, weenie. But yeah, so this is actually also kind of clinically relevant to all of us, because did you know that at the day, let me see if I can read my notes, so much compression happens, so some of the liquid leaves the nucleus, so at night, when you're laying down due to osmosis, liquid comes back. So what does that mean for us? Did you hear that you're shorter in the day and then you're longer at night? That's like the same idea. It's just because of this osmosis, because we are losing liquid when we are awake. But as soon as we lay down and we're all nice and relaxed, the osmosis happens, and ta-da, we're suddenly just a little bit taller. Only a little bit. Nothing dramatic. Spine movements, herniated disc we won't talk about, but if you ever want to see it on a real person, that's just not pretty. Sorry. Ooh, do I need to know this? No. This is actually a pretty important concept that we're going to talk about later. So when going over muscles, again, we're going over the origin, the insertion, the nerve innervation, and the action that they do. Some of the muscles that we'll be discussing are actually innervated by the dorsal rami or the ventral rami. So the dorsal rami are going to innervate skin and intrinsic muscles of the back. We'll see that in just a little bit when we talk about I love spaghetti. That will make sense in a little bit, I promise. We also have the ventral rami, which is going to innervate everything else. So one thing we also want to note with like dorsal ramesis and ventral ramesis is that dorsal is going to be very important for sensory information, while ventral is going to be very important for any motor innervation. Again, we'll talk about that slightly more in detail. Oh, we got some more muscles. Let's go. So, here's some of the superficial muscles attached to the scapula or your shoulder blade, and or attached to the humerus, which is going to be your arm bone right over here. So some of the muscles that we could talk about, and I could try to flex my knowledge before I bust out the flashcards, are we could talk about some of the OINAs. So let's go for it. Let's go superior to inferior. Starting from the top, let's start with the trapezius. So the trapezius has a lot, oh my goodness, so many origins. So it's gonna insert itself into that external occipital tuberance. So that bump in the back of your skull. It's gonna insert to the nuchal ligament, and it's gonna insert itself from C7 all the way to T. way, would you say that's T12? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, all the way to T12. Where it inserts to, however, is actually going to be the spine of your scapula, not the actual spine, the spine of your shoulder blade. The acromion process, which is kind of this little like nudge right here, and also your clavicle, which is your collarbone. So it kind of reaches more superior, and sorry, not superior, more in front, but this image is not like the best detector of that. The nerve innervation should be the cranial nerve, or the spinal accessory nerve 11. And the action for this is that it's going to elevate, it's going to retract, and it's going to depress your shoulder blade. So anytime you want to raise your shoulders, squeeze your shoulder blades back, or for whatever reason depress your scapula, the trapezius is going to be really responsible for that. Moving on over here, we have your levator scapula. These are going to insert to the first 4 cervical transverse processes right over here. It's then going to insert to the area between the superior scapula, and this is the superior angle right here, and this is the inferior right here. These little points between the superior angle and the spine of the scapula. Levator scapula is very easy in action. It's kind of in the name. It elevates the scapula. So ta-da! So easy. Wow, so smart. Wow. And the nerve innervation for this is going to be dorsal scapular nerve. Dorsal meaning back, scapular relating to the scapula or shoulder blade, and nerve meaning, hey, that's what it's innervating. Ta-da! Your rhomboid minor and major are also going to do something very similar. So they won't elevate the scapula, but they're actually going to be doing the actions of retraction, so retracting the shoulder blades, and adduction, which means to bring it closer to the midline. So it makes sense. If it's also going to be retracting, it's also going to be bringing the scapula, closer to the midline in adduction, not abduction. Add like ADD, yeah? So we have a rhomboid minor and major. So a good rule of thumb for the muscles is that normally if there's a major, there's a minor. If there's a minor, there's a major. And minor is normally more superior or more on top of the major. And obviously, of course, minor meaning smaller. As you see in size, the minor is smaller than the major. Superior angle? How many degrees is that? Too many to count. It's just superior. But not in degrees, you hacker. Just in placement. Yeah. So the rhomboid minor is going to insert to like the nuchal ligament and I think like C1 to T1. So it's the 7th cervical vertebra into the 1st thoracic vertebra. And then the major is going to insert from T2 to T5, so the 2nd thoracic to the 5th thoracic. Where both are going to insert vary, I believe. But I think what they say is like the minor is at like the root of the spine of the scapula, so right here. And the major is going to insert between the spine of the scapula and the inferior angle. So that's our fun talk about stuff. So here's a visual of the nuchal ligament, your C7 process, which is a little more prominent. You have trapezius muscles on both sides. I know the other picture didn't show it just because we wanted to see what's deeper, but the trapezius is the most superficial layer. And again, which nerve? The nerve that's going to innervate the trapezius is going to be the cranial accessory nerve 11. Something that's fun is that now we're already, so first day basically in the class we're like, here you go, here's some cadavers, and some of them were already dissected. So one of them, if you flip the trapezius over, you are able to see this nerve that is running through to provide innervation to that muscle. So for the thoracodorsal nerve, however, this is actually going to innervate the latissimus dorsi, or your lats in like cool gamer gym workout terms. Your lats are also a very superficial muscle. They're not deep, they're pretty much surface level. And then you can imagine your trapezius like right above here. Your latissimus dorsi is going to be pretty big as well. It's going to insert from, I believe, T7? Yeah, T7 all the way down to T12 and then to the posterior back iliac crest. So these are just your hip bones right here, but this kind of like curvature that they have is referred to as a crest. All of this is actually going to insert to your arm. Would you believe that? This is going to insert to the bicipital groove of the humerus. So what it means from there on is that the actions are going to be responsible for internally rotating the humerus, adduction, so bringing it close to midline, and also extension of the humerus. Again, it's just so weird to think that you have a muscle all the way from like your butt, basically, all the way up to your arm. Weird. Here's a closer angle of the rhomboid minor, major, and the levator scapula. It says which nerve, and we had just talked about this being the dorsal scapular nerve because again, it's at the back. I'm not going to show you a picture of cadaver. And yeah, I think we're good. Let's see, let me politely zoom in to this guy with the funny scalps. Let me also sip some water. One moment. Okay, I'm mentally prepared and ready. Let's go. So now, we talked briefly about the back. I guess we talked extensively about the back, briefly about the back muscles. So let's talk about the scapular region or the shoulder blade region, just your shoulders in general. This is just another picture of it. We have the latissimus dorsi again attaching. It doesn't attach to the scapula. I don't know why I wrote that. Again, it's going to insert to the bicipital groove of the humerus, your rhomboids, and your levator scapulae. What's an important joint that we're going to learn about is the glenoid humeral joint, also known as your shoulder joint, also known as like a very common example of ball and socket. So you have your socket, you have your ball. The socket's the glenoid fossa, and the ball is going to be the humeral head of the humerus. Hence the name glenoid humeral. Huh? He's looking fabulous? Like fabulous? That he do be. So, ball and socket joints, which is something I think we'll talk about in the... Oh, wait! I'm dumb! I'm dummy! I forgot we have to talk about joints before we talk about like, oh yeah, ball and socket, yeah. Hi Violet Bear, hi, welcome. Always nice to see, always very nice to see a fellow bear VTuber. Hello, welcome. Just doing a little bit of studying. So, joints is what we need to talk about first. Joints allows us degrees of movements that we will talk about in a little bit. And let's kind of get to it. So the type of joints that you have is technically you have like 3 joints, but 4 technically, but they're it's all in 2 categories. You either have non-synovial joints, which non-synovial means like not fluid, not moving, or you have synovial joints, which are moving. From the non-synovial joints, you have fibrosis joints, which we'll show examples right now, and we have the cartilaginous joints, which is something we're also going to be discussing. Cartilaginous joints, by the way, are slightly movable, but they're not supposed to be completely out of place, and that's something that we'll talk about in a little bit, and something I believe that we talked about in the last study stream, so watcha! So, one type of non-synovial joint is the fibrous joint. These are super stable with so minuscule to no movement. This is really important because fibrous joints normally are able to attach 2 bones to another or like use fibrous tissues directly. A really common example we like to use of fibrous joints is sutures. So you see these crazy lines? Well, what we're looking at right here is actually the would you consider that the base? Or like the back is someone's skull. So you see we had the lines when we were born. These were very soft, they hardened, and they fused through these sutures. If, for whatever reason, your sutures were able to move, that would not be a fun time. We also have like your teeth as a good example. We have fibrous joints in the teeth to keep like the teeth staying in place. And then we also have the interosseous membrane between the tibia and fibula. The tibia and fibula are muscles that are going to be below the muscles. They're going to be bones beneath your knees. One moment. Sorry, I'm just like, dying. Anyway, so the interosseous membrane is between the tibia and fibula. Again, these are bones that are going to be below your knee. Your fibula is going to be that big boy. So like you'll feel your knee, like the knee cap or the patella right up here. And then that main bone is going to be your tibia. Fibula is going to be more lateral or more out to your side, kind of in the direction of where your pinky toe is. So that's the lateral side. And in between, you're going to have this membrane that's going to keep these two things together. Hydrate, thank you. One moment. Right. Moving on, so another like category of non-synovial joints is going to be cartilaginous joints. Cartilaginous joints are going to be cartilage directly connected from the bone to bone. But Zia, thank you so very much for the follow. Welcome to the Cup Club. Welcome. So this is not completely like still. This is not little to no movement. It's little movement. Very little movement. It allows a few degrees, which is why we're able to kind of like flex and move our spine like that. Very important for, again, the intervertebral disc, because again that's going to give us those degrees to move around and be like, wow, way. And we also have the pubic symphysis. So I had like a very awkward discussion with you Cubs last time about this, but the pubic symphysis is basically right by the pubic bone. You can touch it, you can move it, you can wiggle it around. That's all you can do, basically. It was very, again, awkward during my time of trying to feel this on someone, because this can be very important, especially when you're trying to assess someone for pelvic health. So very important to know that. So moving away from the non-synovial joints, which again are bones that have little to no movement for the most part, we're gonna go to synovial joints, which are freely movable. And pretty much these are known to have a synovial cavity, which contains synovial fluid, which allows us to have that like nice, free, fun motion. However, there are different types of synovial joints, and that's kind of we'll focus on that way later. Hydrate again? I got you. Hi John, hi, welcome though. Let me sit. Thank you. Alright, so we have a plane gliding, we have a hinge, we have a pivot, we have a ball and socket, we have a condyle, and a saddle. Hear me out. These all sound really overwhelming, but I promise we're gonna break it down in just a little bit, okay? Mr. Slim Goodbody says the shape of the joint determines what a muscle can do. Wow! Thank you, Mr. Slim Goodbody. I miss my old professor. Anyway. So let's break it down. So we have a plane/gliding joint, which is again one of our synovial joints. We can move the AC joint, which is the acromion clavicular joint, which is located right here. So again, our clavicular or clavicle is going to be our collarbone. It's going to articulate or touch with one of the pieces of our shoulder bone, which is going to be the acromion, which is popping off right here, hence the AC joint. Planar gliding joints can only allow certain movements. It goes up, down, left, right. Another movement that we can kind of see here, more practical, more applicable, is the superior temporal mandibular joint, where it allows planing gliding when we protract the mandible. So we're kind of like with the chin, or like with the chin, whether we're like bringing it out or bringing it back, you know? May the real some good bodies please stand up. Please stand up. Please stand. It's so good. Hinge joint is when you're unhinged. Hinge joint allows one access. So the hinge joint is like, think of a door hinge. Like the door can only kind of like open and close. For this case, in this scenario, we're looking at the elbow right now. So this on the image on the right is going to be our humerus. This is our ulnar bone. Ulna bone. And ulna has that U shape where this is gonna allow that for that hinge motion. This is kind of not the bone itself, but this is like another visual to see what's happening, and we can have that up down motion. There's only like, again, one axis of motion here, while here there's two axes. The pivot joint is something we were talking about earlier when we were referring to the importance of C1 and C2, and we're saying how important C2 was because it had that little bump or the dents. The pivot joint is going to allow for rotation and only rotates. We can go left, we can go right with our head. Ball and socket is what we're going to get into once we got into the shoulder. It's a 3-axis joint. It's probably actually, if not one of the, if not the most mobile joint that you can have, but that's kind of a sacrifice that you do. You want to be the most mobile? Well, you're going to be the least stable, which is why a lot of people have like incidents with their hips, because you can see an example right there. Or again with that glenoid humeral joint. Pretty much the spirit goes into a hole, or that ball cup or ball and socket kind of shape to it. This is going to allow for flexion and extension, adduction and abduction, and medial and lateral rotation. Now this is a wacky one, the condyle joint. The condyle joint is kind of like a saddle, or is this the one? No, this is not the saddle joint. This one is just knuckle shape. It's just a circle and an egg. Kind of think of like those little chocolate eggs that we used to have, right? Like you break it up and then like the little like ball or prize inside it, which I'm pretty sure is banned from here, but I'm sure you've seen those candies. That's basically what the condyle joint is. It allows 2 axes of movements with its oval shape, and it's really found in the wrist, and it's gonna allow flexion and extension of the wrist. So like kind of like if you're doing like a vroom like on a motorcycle, and adduction and abduction, which is again just kind of bringing these joints to midline or away from midline. We have the saddle joint, which is actually pretty rare. You're only going to actually see it here on the thumb and the hand. So we have our wrist bones right here, and away from our wrist bones, the trapezium, and articulating with the first metacarpal, which is going to be our thumb. It's going to be saddle shape right here. It allows for extension and flexion of the thumb, as well as abduction and adduction of the thumb. Doggo? Yeah, look at that doggo go on the little saddle. Beautiful picture moment. As in honor of my old professor, saddle joint, aka reconstitute processed potato joint. That's really what it's gonna look like when you look at the thumb. So our next thing that we're gonna talk about is skin. I don't know why you picked this image. So we're going to talk a little bit about the skin and the integumentary system and all that stuff. This is going to be a very overwhelming slide. Just bear with me. So you have 3 layers of the skin, okay? So you have your epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. We can easily break this up. This isn't too bad. So the epidermis is going to be above, the dermis is going to be in the middle, and hypo meaning again below, is going to be below it. So the upper and superficial layer of the skin, again known as the epidermis, has 5 layers. So we have the stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum, and stratum basal / whatever the heck that word is. The epidermis is actually avascular. First degree burns, I'm actually not sure what question he's asking because I'm not familiar with burns as of yet, but we'll look at that in a little bit. And I know you may remember from basic anatomy or basic biology, remember where you had like different epitheliums, like, oh, this had squamous, this had columnar or whatever. Well, the epidermis is going to have keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. So it's going to be square shaped. Wow. I know we're going to talk about burns later, but after this and after we maybe review the muscles, or no, I'll do the little study review and then we'll review the muscles at the end. How do you say it? One of the questions from the study guide that I'm trying to kind of keep in order is, what layer of the epidermis you need for skin grafting. So I'm not gonna like scar you cubs with all this information, but skin grafting is really important when someone burns themselves. So let's say someone has burned their arm. When you burn your arm, and depending on what kind of burn it is, it could be first, second, or third. If for whatever reason you get third-degree burns, you may need skin grafting. Now, don't get me wrong, third-degree burns can heal, but it's gonna take a very, oh my goodness, so long. It's not a few weeks. It could be a few months up to like a year, or maybe even 2, I think I read. But one of those things that we can speed up the process is doing skin grafting. Skin grafting is just a type of like surgical procedure where you replace the skin with another skin. I heard you can actually use fish scales, so that's pretty interesting. Or you'll take like skin from somewhere else, which will obviously heal. But the layer of skin that you want to get it from when you're doing the skin grafting is all the way at the bottom, the straight on basal. How I remember this layer specifically is because it kind of looks like basement. If you like squint and use your imagination, basement meaning like the lowest level. Yeah. It's the deepest layer of the epidermis. Okay, I got you. So what's really important with the skin grafting and why we need that deepest layer is because the basal actually has stem cells or mitosis, which is going to help encourage that healing process and make it look normal. I could become Aquaman? I mean, technically, do you want to look at a picture? Hold on. I won't look at a graphic one, of course. Skin grafting, fish scales, fish skin. I don't think this one's bad, right? Maybe it is a little bad. It's a little bad. I'm sorry. But it's red because obviously the burn and the surgery and all that. But you see how he has the what do you call it? The scales. So yeah, you can technically become Aquaman if you want to, but I wouldn't recommend burning yourself for it. Just put some fish skin and hope for the best, you know? Anyway, so now we're going to move on from the epidermis. We're going to move to the dermis, which is the lower or the deep part of the skin. The dermis is going to have 2 layers. So this is going to have all the connective tissue. So the epidermis again is going to be avascular. So the dermis is going to be vascular. Avascular meaning that it has like no blood supply or anything. So the dermis we see right here, the papillary or that first layer of the dermis is going to contain blood vessels for the epidermis. Really just known for like the nourishment. For the second layer that we have is going to be the reticular layer of the dermis. This is going to be dense, irregular connective tissue, which is something that we'll talk about a little bit later. These are going to be the deepest and the thickest layer of the dermis, especially in comparison to papillary. So yeah. What? There again says, from what I remember, you only get the graft for the epidermis for 3rd-degree burns. Okay, yeah. So if they're super deep, which, let me scroll. I hope in this PowerPoint we eventually talk about burns so it can make more sense. But yeah, 3rd is really bad. 2nd, I think again it will only take a few weeks to heal, and the first one is not that it's not nothing, but you are more likely to recover than a 2nd and 3rd-degree burn without any like issues. Wow. Especially for autographs and autographs. I'll have to look into a little bit more. Again, this was just a question that he just pulled out from like the study guide, so I was like, I don't think we even really focused on burns. And to keep in mind, this is actually material I had from like a different program, but I feel like this is helping me kind of like regurgitate that same information to help me with the foundation of what we're learning now. Posture check? Okay, I got you. Let me uncross my legs again. Thank you for the posture check. You're way too desensitized for your own good sometimes. No. I'm pretty bad with a lot of like stuff. Like again, the cadavers and like the surgeries and whatnot. I'm kind of like, I can't do it. 1st-degree burns are only epidermis? Oh, okay, thank you. And that explains the little question mark right here, because I'm like, huh? What? Huh? Nani the heck? I'm just gonna wrap myself in fish scales? Don't do it, Toro. Don't do it. So now we're moving to the hypodermis. So hypodermis is not a part of the skin. Epidermis and dermis, skin. Hypodermis, not a part of the skin. It's actually going to be below. Hypodermis is also going to be known as the subcutaneous layer, and the hypodermis is mostly going to be adipose connective tissue. So lots of fat, I guess. So here's like another layer of the skin. So we have your hair, we have the epidermis right here. Imagine it's so tiny, so baby, but it has 5 layers. Then we have our dermis again with our blood supply and all that, with the papillary and reticular, right? Yeah, reticular layer. And then we have the hypodermis. Goodness knows where. Let's see what this is. Oh, your epidermis is showing. Keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. It's avascular. It gets its nutrition from the dermis below. And basically, you get new skin every 35 to 45 days. So, congratulations! You hate geography? I'm sorry. Geography wasn't so bad. So we have skin color, but I don't think we're gonna really talk about melanin. It's a fun topic, but we're not gonna talk about it. But here, ta-da! Skin color, basically with the world. Ta-da! Wow, would you believe if you're closer to the equator, your skin is darker? Wow, amazing. Fun fact, didn't know. It's just your body's ability to adjust, but yes. Let's see. So here's the dermis. We talked about it being the rich supply of blood vessels and nerves. Skip. Hypodermis is going to be highly vascularized, the storage of energy, calories, and fats. Hence why it has a lot of the hypodermis or adipose connective tissues. That is the reason for the storage of energy, fat, and calories. It's an insulator and it anchors the skin. Wow. Alright, let's move on. Some Canadians are unknown. No, wait, what? Really? Oh, no data. We'll have to discover the rare Canadian. Oh no. What is this? Oh, incisions. Stretch marks? No. Is this bad? No, it's not bad. But still. We haven't talked about wounds and all that, so hold on. No. No. Burns? Yay! Okay, so a little bit about burns. So we can get burns through various means. We can get it through heat, electricity, radiation, and certain chemicals. When you get a burn, you cause tissue damage, denatured proteins, and cell death. Immediate threat in critical cases, especially a lot of like 3rd-degree burns or like someone got caught in a fire, but that they're still alive, is dehydration. So it's just the evaporation through the skin and electrolyte imbalances. This is critical because this may lead to renal shutdown, which is related to your kidneys, and circulation shock. So getting burned to death, if you don't die from the burn, you may potentially die from the lack of like electrolytes. Thank you for that, Pat. Thank you. I feel like you said like a gruesome fact, but I got head patted for it, so I guess I'm okay. Wait, one moment. Oh, go! Additional, thank you so very much for the follow. Welcome to the Cub Club. Welcome. So we could talk about burns right here. So we could see our normal skin. Then we could see 1st-degree burn, which again, like I said earlier, only involves the top layer of the epidermis. We have our 2nd-degree burn, which may create blisters involving all the epidermis, so our 5 layers, and some of the dermis. It may also involve all the dermis, so your papillary and your reticle layers may be affected. And 3rd-degree burns may extend to deeper tissue, so you might even be going to the hypodermis. So it's kind of like, yeah, bro, the Dorito scale, let's go, baby. Yay, biology lessons. Yay, biology. So luckily with burns, but either way, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're learning about burns, then we're gonna go shoulder, then we're gonna go muscle, and life will be great. Welcome. So with burns, you may have a partial thickness. So again, partial meaning it's not full, it's a little bit part through the skin, while full thickness burns can go all the way through the skin. So the first and second are going to be partial thickness. Again, this is only going through little parts, while the third one you're getting the deep fascia. You may even get bone, and you may even get muscle. BRB? Yeah, no problem, no problem. Take your time. So let's kind of go reiterate this again with the Dorito scale. Let me fix this though. So for the first layer, you see it's going to be the epidermis only. So you may have some reddening or discomfort. Think of like a sunburn. So for the second one, it can affect the epidermis and superficial dermis. So you can get blisters, edema, which is kind of like swelling, severe pain, generalized swelling, and possible scarring. You may end up damaging the glands and hair follicles from it. For your third degree burns, which please no one ever get into on purpose, okay? It's your epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Your nerve endings are destroyed, so no pain. So this is gonna be a really dark subject, so you'll have to forgive me for this, okay? This is gonna sound like completely out of like what I normally do. But you know when people are like, hey, if you could choose a way to die, I'm so sorry. Would you drown, or would you rather drown or burn yourself alive? There's actually this game, and please forgive me for this as well, called Master Debaters. And that's actually one of the questions that this conversation piece that popped up too. But I feel like I've heard this kind of question before, right? And it's the idea of why people would choose to die by burning themselves alive is because once you burn yourself alive after a certain point, once you get through the epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis, you're again affecting muscle, nerves, and bone. So your nerve endings are destroyed. So it actually is no pain. But of course with third degree burns, of how severe they are, it's going to be scarring, and then skin grafting is going to be needed. There is a fourth degree burn, but it's basically the same thing but even deeper than the third one. I don't know why you would ever want to get that deep, so heck. Wow, that was not a picture. Sorry. Severity of burns. Ulcers? I don't want to look at ulcers right now. Holy heck. Thank you for the useful information. Yeah, no problem. The dehydration would still be in effect, right? Yeah, like if we're still talking about like the options to like die, dehydration would still play in effect, because once you get burned to a certain type, either you die, like it's just such a serious topic. I'm just like, yeah. Fire bad. Fire causes dehydration. Fire may put you into shock if you don't pass from the fire or the smell itself. Yes. Anyway, look at this pug. Yay, the skin. I'm not gonna talk about skin cancer. We can talk about the fascicle though. The fascia. It surrounds us. It penetrates us. It binds us together. Oh, this is long. So my class doesn't talk about the fascia, but if you want to have like a better idea what the fascia is, you see this white covering right here. The fascia, basically, if you had to put like a comparison to IRL, is think of an orange, and when you peel an orange, you know all that white like layer it has around it? That's basically that white layer to the orange is what the fascia is to our muscles. So ta-da! Fascia is pretty important for proprioception. So the idea of like feeling something. So if I touch the back of the neck, back of your neck, if I touch the back of your back, like your low back, but you don't see me, but you still feel that sensation of touch. Yes, that's why it's good to have proprioception. Hi Selika, hi, welcome back Zio, welcome back. Wait, you're telling me I have pulp in me? My life is ruined. Marshall, please. Hi, Marshall. Hi. There's no pulp in you, but there is fascia. Yeah, welcome. Sorry about the orange in you. Aren't you glad I didn't say banana, though? I always picture it as a cling wrap. Yeah, especially in cadavers too. It's pretty clingy. So we talk about sheets, which again, it's not something that they go on about. Alright, so we're done with that. So we're gonna move back over to the scapular region, because really what we want to talk about, the skin, joints, and fascia, was really more just for the joints to get a better understanding of the ball and socket, you know? The cake? Was he that cakey? Oh, he is cakey, and there's a little shine to it too. They knew what they were doing. They knew. Oh wow, look at your shiny muscles. Wow. Okay, no, serious. So we talked about how do you call it, how mobile the ball and socket joints are, whether that be on your shoulder or maybe on your hip. Hi Mara, hi, welcome. Yeah, education. Boo. No, I'm just kidding. So we talk about flexion and extension. We talk about abduction, so bringing it away from your body, and adduction, bringing it away, or bringing it in. Excuse me. And we talk about medial rotation and lateral rotation. Medial's bringing it in, lateral's bringing it out, baby. Also known as internal rotation, external rotation. There is some stuff about blood supply, but my program doesn't actually focus on blood supply, so ooh, you got blood in ya. Alright, so we're gonna actually be talking about muscles again in the scapular region. Let's start off with one of the most superficial muscles that we have, the deltoid. The deltoid is pretty much a muscle you can even feel yourself. Like if you ever, I'm just like, put your hand on your shoulder, da-da! You're most likely feeling out the deltoid. The deltoid is going to originate from where the trapezius inserts, so it's going to be the clavicle of the scapula, the acromion, and spine of the scapula. Where it's going to insert to is actually a deltoid groove, or deltoid tuberosity. Either way, it's going to insert into a self-named location onto the humerus. I think it's deltoid tuberosity, like a small little bump on the arm. The deltoid is really important for flexion, adduction, and extension of the humerus or your arm. You're lucky that oh my gosh, subclav. Oh my god, I can't say it. I want to say subclavius. Subclavian artery and such are so confusing to me. Don't talk to me about this. I actually hated the arteries and blood supply so much. So in my previous program we had to learn anastomosis. So anastomosis is the idea like, hey, if one of your blood arteries gets cut off, where can this get blood supply from? So I had to learn all of this at one point and like draw it out, but that information is like out of my head right now, out of sight, out of mind. And if my school right now does not need me to know this, I will not know it. I do not want to know this. But yeah, the deltoid, by the way, is actually going to be innervated by the axillary artery. Axillary, anytime you hear that word, you want to associate with your armpit. Ta-da! Let's see. Oh, and the deltoid stops there. So it's the idea that yes, your deltoid can do abduction, but it only stops pretty much like at a 180. To get higher, or not 180. 180 is like straight above. Would you say this is halfway? Would that be 90? Or maybe I can read. Ooh, you only get 60 to 70 degrees of abduction with your deltoid alone. To get the rest of your abduction, you're actually going to end up using your rotator cuff muscles, which is something we're going to talk about in a little bit. We said again that the deltoid is innervated by the axillary nerve, so we can see it right here. All squiggly. Wow. I don't remember this. Oh, okay. So if the axillary nerve is damaged, your shoulder will weaken. So we see in this example how this guy has like a very buff deltoid, but on the side it's pretty flat on this left side. It can happen, unfortunately. What happens is that there's the surgical neck of the humerus, which is literally this kind of like zigzag line right here, like actually on the bone, as a frequent site for humeral fractures. And if you were ever to fracture right there, you impact the axillary nerve, which is going to give you like flat shoulder, basically. Let's see. nerve lesions or like a nerve cut or like nerve difficulty or damage to this axillary nerve in particular is going to be bad news for anyone with deltoid muscles. So basically all of us. Hey. So the patient is going to be unable to abduct their shoulder horizontally, and they may have some numbness or tingling at the shoulder. Anytime there tends to be numbness or tingling at the shoulder, it's usually nerve related. Alright, for the rotator cuff, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna spice things up. So I am going to show you something that I made for my classmate, and let me see. Oops. Let me move it here. So I did this for my classmate because I feel like we have to learn 29 muscles, which is why I'm like painfully screaming in my life. But I'm like, well, we could group 4 of them really easy. So let's talk about, well, actually, yeah, let's talk about sits. So sits is just like an abbreviation for our 4 rotator cuff muscles. So we go in the order of the supraspinatus, the infraspinatus, the teres major, and then this is a posterior view. So if you were to look anterior or to the front of someone, like this is their face, they're like, hey, how's it going? This is going to be the subscapular muscle. So let's kind of refer to just the text alone. I apologize. We'll try to go back and forth with the images to make it make sense. So again, we need to know the origin, insertions, actions, and nerve innervations. So sits, or the rotator cuff muscles, are not so bad to know, origin-wise especially, because the supraspinatus is going to, if you break down the name, make sense. It's going to sit above the spine, and the origin is that it's going to originate in the supraspinous fossa. The infraspinatus is going to originate from the infraspinous fossa. Infra again meaning below. And when we're talking about spine, we're not talking about spine like on our back. We're referring to the spine of the scapula. I'm uncrossing my one leg. Thank you for the posture check. I don't know why my posture is so bad. I think it's just because I'm cold, so I'm just like, I'm gonna put all my body together as much as I can. Anyway, so yeah, supra above the spine, infra below the spine. We have our teres minor, and the minor, again, if there's a minor, there's a major. With the minor, it's going to be originating from the axillary border of the scapula, so you see right here. And then our subscapularis, because we said it's something you can see anteriorly, not posteriorly. It's going to originate from the subscapular fossa. Again, 3 out of the 4 muscles are innervating or originating from a place of a self-titled, self-named fossa, so it's very easy to remember. The reason why I have axillary squared off right here is because the teres minor is innervated by the axillary nerve. So it makes sense that if this is coming or originating from the axillary border, that it should also have the axillary nerve innervating it. But let's not skip ahead. That's just something I want to know if you're curious about, like the different color combinations. So this is really interesting. So as long as you know the order, you know the abbreviation, because that also kind of gives you the order, well, at least for the SIT, rotator cuff muscles, you're gonna know the insertion. So all of these, except the subscapularis, is gonna connect to the greater tubercle of the humerus. So like this little bump right here. So as you see, the supra is gonna connect to the superior superior facet of the greater tubercle of the humerus. The infraspinatus is gonna connect to the middle, and the teres minor is gonna connect to the lower. So greater, middle, lower, greater tubercle of the humerus. Ta-da! But where does that leave the subscapularis? So subscapularis is not going to connect to the greater tubercle. No, it's too bad for that one. It's sub, so it's below. And if it's below, that means it's not with everything else. So that's going to actually attach to the lesser tubercle of the humerus. I don't have it marked, unfortunately, but basically if this is the greater, the lesser is somewhere here. So again, descending order. As long as you know the abbreviation, you can work your way down. So for the innervation though, what about that? So for the innervation, we're gonna have supraspinatus and infraspinatus sharing the same innervation as the suprascapular nerve. They're pretty close together when we look at the pictures, so it's not necessarily surprising that's like, oh yeah, of course these share the same nerve innervation. These are basically almost in the same place with just like a bone dividing them. But for the teres major, again, we said it came from the axillary border, so it's gonna be innervated by the axillary nerve. As for the subscapularis, this thing is a big boy, big Dorito boy. So what it's gonna be innervated by is the upper and lower not supra, subscapularis nerve. So let's look at that again with words. So supra, because it's so good, so great, suprascapular nerve is going to innervate supraspinatus and infraspinatus. Teres minor is going to be axillary, and subscapularis is going to be upper and lower subscapular nerve. So what do these rotator cuffs do? We hear a lot of people get injuries, a lot of people who are involved with athletes, or maybe have like a friend, family member, have like a weird rotator cuff injury while maybe playing sports or just life in general. So why it's so important, why people have these injuries, is that sometimes when you have these injuries, you're not able to bring your arm out or in, and that can be really problematic to complete daily life activities. So let me move this over really quick. So what's gonna happen is, I wish there was like a fun little dance. I thought I learned a little dance for it, but I don't remember it, so we're just gonna have to do pure memorization, baby. So the supraspinatus, again, we're starting in our order of the sits, it's gonna be going out. And because it's so superior, it's gonna perform not one action, but as my dad Simple Flips would say, two. It's going to perform two actions. So it's going to be doing abduction and external rotation. So again, let's say I'm this person now. You're not, if your arm's here, you're not going to be able to abduct it or bring it away from midline. Like, that's not there. And you're not able to externally rotate. So if I asked you to, like, hey, I want you to have your arms like this. Now, can you bring it out for me? You won't be able to, like, you won't be able to bring it out to the side like that. My rotator cuff injury made it where I couldn't move my arm. Yeah, no, and it's scary because basically it depends on what you teared, because rotator cuff muscles can be categorized by partial tears, full tears, and you pretty much just kind of have to see where it goes. Because sometimes if it's a partial tear, sometimes non-operative interventions like a cortisone shot or steroid injection, I apologize, it may provide some relief, and some physical therapy may get you as good as new. But sometimes if it's a full tear, it's just best off to go the operative way. It's best off to just get that going, get that fixed, and get your rotator cuff back in action. Then again, you can do like the physical therapy and everything like that, and hopefully you'll get your range of motion back. Because not gonna lie, not using your arm really sucks. Thinking of just some muscles that are just originating from my shoulder blade, it controls basically my whole arm, really sucks. So yeah, remember, it's so superior, so again, it's gonna have the two actions. So let's move down the list, okay? So now we're going to go to infraspinatus. Infraspinatus is going to be responsible for bringing that muscle out, or externally rotating. When you externally rotate, again, it's that same motion. The teres minor, not major, it's also going to be doing external rotation. So the sit makes sense. And again, they're all in that same posterior area right here. So they have similar actions. It just makes sense. So where does that leave the subscapular muscle? Well, because it doesn't insert into the same place, it's not in the same location, none of that, it's going to be completely different. Instead of out, it's going to be in. Subscapularis is only going to be responsible for internal rotation. And there you go. That's pretty much all your rotator cuff muscles sits. So your supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, goodness gracious, great balls of fire, and your subscapularis. And remember, the only one that does two actions is going to be your supra. Wow. So where does that leave the teres major? So the teres major is not a part of the rotator cuff muscles, so I'm not really including it, but because we talked about the minor, I think it's really important that we talk about the major too, you know? So let me see. So the really cool thing about the teres major is that it is gonna insert right below the teres minor, so it should be like somewhere right here. It's a big boy, it's major. But where it inserts to is the bicipital groove of the humerus. Like we were talking about in the back PowerPoints earlier, the latissimus dorsi, that big boy muscle on your lower back, is also going to insert into the bicipital groove of the humerus, meaning that the latissimus dorsi and the teres major are going to both have the same actions. So it's going to be internally rotating, it's going to be adduction and extension of the arm. So again, both teres major and latissimus dorsi does that because of their same insertion. So yeah, let's get this out of the way and let's get back into the muscle. So again, our quick review. It's a big boy, me. It's a really big muscle. Did you not see it? I'm bringing out the picture. Look at this big boy. It's humongous. Imagine this is the inferior angle. Don't imagine that. Don't imagine it. It actually is. The inferior angle of your scapula. This is your neck right here. This is below your shoulder blades, and this is going all the way to your butt. It's a big boy. It gets certified big boy. So yeah. So let's move on. So this is our quick review. These are other kind of pictures that you can see. This is the anterior shoulder. So again, if I was facing you and for whatever reason you had the ability to see my shoulder, you would see the subscapularis right here anteriorly or in the front. And then you would see on the back, you would see the supraspinatus muscles right here on top. Again, supraspinatus above the spine muscle, your infraspinatus and your teres minor right here. Ooh. So what happens with what do you call it? The supraspinatus is that it's going to initiate abduction. So the first 15 degrees of movement when you're abducting out. Also remember the supraspinatus is also responsible for external rotation. And this PowerPoint they explain external rotation as lateral rotation, but it's the same thing. Don't worry, okay? For infraspinatus and teres minor, it's going to do the same actions and let's see. Oh, no. That didn't go the way I wanted it to. Oh, but it says the subscapularis does the medial rotator. So there you go. Abductor, external rotators, medial rotators. Oh, these are nerve stuff. I will go away from that. We can talk about our triceps a little bit later, but just a general idea why it's called triceps. Remember we're talking about prefixes, how we say bi is 2, hence bicep. While tricep, TRI, stands for the number 3. Why is it called triceps is because it actually has 3 heads and 3 areas of attachment that it goes to. So 1, 2, 3, but we'll talk about that more in the muscle cards. People who use their rotator cuffs, God bless. And if you're ever going to tear one of the rotator cuff muscles, you're more likely going to be tearing the supraspinatus. It's the smallest, it leaves with the most rooms, and full tears, again, like we had mentioned earlier, are just unable to repair themselves. Sorry, I'm not laughing because of the poor like surgical stuff. I'm laughing because there's just this picture and I'm like, why? Anyway. So that leaves us with that. So let me readjust really quick, or let me readjust this window, image window. Let's see, it's 100 okay? Maybe 150. So yeah, we're gonna actually move over to the little review that I have for us today. The only issue right now is that this would be my first break. So I will politely be right back. I'm gonna grab some more water, stand up and stretch, stop crossing my legs, and the next thing we're gonna go over is just pretty much what we had gone over before, with some weird wacky things in between. Because again, like I said, those notes that I went over are from another school that have some relevance to the stuff that I'm doing now. But I had like a study review session yesterday with my professor, and he literally kind of told us some of the questions or contents that are going to be on there. So I would like to try to see if I can fortify that information by reiterating it and actually trying to learn it, you know? So yeah, please also do the same if you're at home or relaxing or whatever. Just make sure to, oh, thank you for that pet. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Stand up, stretch, and make sure to hydrate, okay? The guy looks like he has a Michelin Man arm. Oh, leave that Michelin Man arm alone. Easier to segment his arm with, my dear. Whatever that means. Hi, Dashing. Hi. Hope you've been well. I want to chat, but I'm at work. No problem, no problem. Please have a good day. No problem, no problem. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. Mara, thank you for the headpad. Thank you. And thank you, Bearcat, for the beliefs. I appreciate you. Alright. Let's be right back. Alright? I'll put a little raffle, so I won't take too long, okay? BRB. Sorry. I got some water. I stretched. I saw sunlight. Like my mental health, a-okay. But thank you for the welcome back. Thank you. So it looks like maybe we could wrap up like probably within like the next hour. So I'm pretty grateful for that. Not for anything. I still have to do more studying afterwards, but we'll figure it out. Let's see. Let's go over it. So like I said before I left for the BRB screen, my professor was talking about these things, and as much as I would be like, yeah, let's just copy like the previous quiz answers and like memorize, which I still will do that, it's the idea that I also want to learn like the application to it, because it won't stick if I don't know it, and this is only going to come back and haunt me because this is like the first like quote-unquote foundational class, even though they're not necessarily teaching it foundationally. Sorry, my school's gonna find out I'm heck talking them, and I'm gonna be like, fix your program, streamline the stuff, wah. Perhaps at least one game of Minesweeper. Yeah, let's do that. Hold on. Not right now, but if I get the tab open, right? Let's see. Minesweeper. They have a Google version, or they have like the online too. Ooh, that's daunting. Heck. Okay, yeah, we'll play some Minesweeper in a little bit then, okay? Or towards the end. I have the tab open so I can't forget, and if I do forget, that just means I'm a complete dummy. Obviously, just light joking, of course. Anyway. So I try to make this as beautiful as possible so my brain could be like, ooh, pretty color. So we have the key here, so any of the red questions are going to be related to muscles or ligaments. B will be blown. Whoa. B will be... What? Huh? Blue will be bone. Green will be nerves, and orange will be artery related. So one of the things he told us was to know the ligaments of the sacral area. I thought in my head, bro, we didn't even go over this. But in actuality, I was like, okay, let me type this out. So he wants us to know 3 of the ligaments of the sacral lumbar sacral area, which is the sacrotuberous ligament, sacrospinous ligament, and the iliolumbar ligament. So what we need to know is, what do they provide stability, and what is the most stable out of the 3? So out of some intense Googling, I learned that the sacrotuberous and the sacrospinous are going to be able to assist in pelvic stability, while the iliolumbar ligament is going to stabilize the lumbar sacral spine on the pelvis. So lots of stuff. Let's kind of like break it up. So the sacrotuberosity ligament is going to go from the sacrum, which we learned was that big fused vertebrae bone, to the tuberosity of the hip bone. Sorry, my brain's blanking. The sacrospinous is going to go from the sacrum to the spine, and the iliolumbar is going to go from the ilium, or like the iliac crest, to the lumbar. So let's kind of point this out. So the sacrotubercle ligament is going to be, our tuberous ligament is going to be right here. So tuberosity right here to the sacrum. It's kind of small. It does assist again in pelvic stability. So what about the sacrospinous? Even smaller. The posterior view is not that great. Let's look at the anterior, or that front view. So the sacrospinous is going to be right here in between. So see, it attaches to the sacrum, and then it attaches to the spine. What? It attaches to the spine of the sacrum. Yes. Sorry, I'm like, huh? And for the iliolumbar ligament, let's go find that boy. The iliolumbar, definitely a much bigger, much wider, just on eye view alone, just visualizing it. So we see it here, and we can also see it posteriorly here. Are these all going to be our iliolumbar ligaments? Well, I guess technically, because it says it stabilizes the lumbar sacral spine onto the pelvis, so, and we see the same kind of pattern forming right here. So is this all of it right here? Because this is all the lumbar. So yeah. So the question that he would probably ask on a test is, which of the following would provide the most stability to a lumbar sacral joint? And for that question specifically, we're going to say it's the iliolumbar ligament. It just makes sense. Obviously, these pictures don't make sense, but if we break it down by the words, what's going to provide the most stability to the lumbar and the sacral joint, lumbral sacral joint, it's going to be the joint that involves the lumbar, or the lower back. So the iliolumbar ligament. Because out of these other 2, the sacrotuberous or the sacrospinous, they have nothing to do with the lumbar. So, moving on. We have to know about anatomy and the sense of where muscles are for these. We don't need to know their origins, assertion, nerve innervations. Actions would be preferred, but I don't know. Is to know the layers of the cervical muscles or our neck muscles. So right below the base of our skull, like I was saying, again, if you roll your fingers, you feel C2. We have these tiny baby muscles. Look how small they are, tiny little baby man. Sorry, everything is a big boy or little baby man. I'm so sorry, there's no in between anymore. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so we're trying to see what muscle is the deepest. And in comparison to all the options we may have, like the trapezius, deltoid, or latissimus dorsi, we're definitely going to know that the rectus capitis major is going to be our, our deepest muscle. So where is that? So the rectus capitis major is going to be located right here. Oh, do you know? Oh, I'm like, do you not see my cursor? Oh, heck. There you go. I've been pointing out and everything. I'm so sorry. But like we said, if we know there's a major, there's a minor, and the minor is going to be right here. This is going to be keeping our capitis erect, or keeping, like, again, like upright posture of our head. There's no in between. Regular boy then. We need to know the muscle groups in the erector spinae group. So one way that we can learn about this is the mnemonic I love spaghetti. ILS. So I is going to be the iliocostalis, which is going to be located, I think I'm blocking it a little bit too much. There you go. It's going to be right here. It's going to be our most lateral muscle. The L is for longissimus, which is really long. Look how big that is. Excuse me. And the blue is going to be more medial. It makes sense because spinalis is going to be relating to the spine. So it being as close to the spine that it is, it again makes sense name-wise. We have to know that the innervation for all these muscles is going to be the dorsal rami, and pretty much the erector spinae is going to be responsible as our primary extensors and helps us like laterally flex, so we can move side to side or go with our back like that. It all comes back to the spaghetti. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. Hi Smokey as well. Hi. Not only is it a good mnemonic, it's true. It is. Some people say I love spinach. Some people have like other wacky ones, but you know, whatever helps you remember. I love spaghetti. Until I got sick of it from my mama Bearcat. So we have the role of the multifidus muscle. So right here, I don't have a picture of it. So this is going to be kind of hard to visualize, so I apologize. But the multifidus muscle is kind of like a Christmas tree. You know how we were talking about the spine and the spinous process, and we have the thoracic process sticking out right from it? So it's gonna Christmas tree its way there. So it attaches to a thoracic process, and then it attaches to spinous. Then it attaches like from the right to the middle, 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 and you have a multifidus on the other side. So it's like from the left to the middle, to the left to the middle, to the left to the middle. Maybe I should grab a picture. It is like a fun, quotation marks, a fun muscle. So Ta-da! So yeah, it does have origins from the posterior sacrum, or the back of the little sacrum area that we have here. You see how it goes in out, in out, in out, in out, in out. Ta-da! That's your multifidus. Right. So we have to learn about bone growth. This is not going to make sense whatsoever, and there's no way I can make this make sense, so I'm so sorry. I'm just going to read it just for my own memory. So for bone growth, during intercartilaginous bone formation before birth, the shaft of the bone increases in length, and it increases in length because of the multiplication of the cartilage cells at the ends of the primary ossification sites. So I think this is doing in relation to that when we are younger, when we haven't matured all our bones yet, we have a growth plate at the end of some bones, and that allows us, that growth plate, I am under the assumption that it has cartilage, and that's going to multiply as we increase in length. And yes, sorry, that's like really poor, but I'm not as good with the bones as I am with muscles at the moment. So he wants us to know what ligaments in the neck are damaged with what kind of forces, you know, forceful flexion or extension, like what ligaments are injured. So we actually talked about hangman's fracture last time as a fun Bearcat school fact. I know, it wasn't that fun because it's like, huh? But that's okay. Let me get our skeleton man going right here. But in this case, we're not going to be talking more in depth with that hangman's fracture. We're just going to talk about the ligament that gets affected if you were to have this forceful extension and flexion, or either or of the head and neck. The ligament that you're going to be stretching is the ligamentum nuchaic or the nuchal ligament. That each name is kind of like vice versa, or it's interchangeable. So the nuchal ligament, as we see, like we said, is going to go from C1 to C7. And it makes sense why this ligament is affected, because all the other ligaments are just not involved in this process. If it attaches to all the cervical, of course, if anything happens to that neck or cervical, then it's going to be affected. Alright? For ventral and dorsal nerves, we just need to know what does what. So like I was saying, ventral is going to be responsible for motor. Ventral is referring to the front. Motor is referring to anything we're sending signals from the spine and sending motor signals to help us move. This can also be referred as efferent. So how I kind of know this, or how I remember, is if you ever want to vent, you need to use your mouth. You need to move your muscles to move your mouth. And you can only vent with your mouth from the front. So ta-da, ventral, which is not as good as my whole like, oh, if I touch the back of your neck, you'll be like, ah, and that ah, or the letter A, is the letter A in afferent. And when you feel me touch the back of your neck, that's obviously sensory, and because I'm coming from behind, it's, well, dorsal. Thank you, I'll be here all night. Thank you. No, just kidding. Anyway, he wants us to know what structures are involved with a laminectomy, and what structures are cut, what structures damaged, etc., etc. So a laminectomy is going to involve the lamina of the vertebra. I don't think I have a picture, so I can't be that great with it. But sometimes what happens with people is that they get like nerve compression. So removing the lamina will allow space and allow them to not have those like nerve symptoms again, such as like pain and tingling and numbness. Another question he wants us to know is, if you were to have swelling in the suboccipital region, what artery you may compress? So the suboccipital, again, below the occipital, below the skull, what artery are we going to compress? We're going to compress the vertebral artery. So we had talked about these transverse foramen, or holes that we have in our vertebra that allow fun things to go up, such as our vertebral artery, which is going to give us blood supply to our brain. Because of this, if we have any swelling in this area right here, it's going to prevent that, and that is why the vertebral artery will be compressed, because the swelling will squish it and life won't be that great. Let's see, did I just repeat the same question? Yes, sir, I did. Well, it's so important I needed to repeat it twice. Omar Gamer, teaching me how to use the bathroom. Yeah, you don't have to ask me. It's okay. Go ahead. Have fun. Put me on full blast. Let me be like, the nuchaic ligament is this. But hey, welcome. I'm like at the later half of studying, so you made it at a good time. So this is all a review. Let's go. So, no problem. You're welcome. So, long-term excessive thoracic kyphosis will result in what? So this is like what? Alright, so we talked about our thoracic being, again, our thoracic, like that rib area right there. Gow gow! Oh no! Thank you, Omar Gamer, for the follow. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining the Cup Club. Welcome. So the thoracic area we had explained right here. Again, the thoracic is going to be our responsible for articulating with our ribs and all that good stuff. So what was kyphosis again? We have kyphosis and lordosis. So kyphosis, remember I referred to that word as like cryptic and all that. It refers to if you have excessive kyphosis in the thoracic area, you're going to have a hunchback. When you have that hunchback, you're going to be stretching this ligament, the supraspinous ligament. The supraspinous ligament is, again, supra, so it's above the spine, above spine ligament. And this is going to be responsible for, again, C7 to L3, L4. So, ta-da! Let's see. we talked about nerve innervation and all that. Posture check? Oh, yes. Make sure you don't have excessive kyphosis comes. Lean back, stretch, retract your shoulder blades, get a little crack in your back, and you should be good. This is my first time understanding anything. Ah, welcome to consciousness. Welcome! Sorry, not to pull your leg, but yeah, I like teaching. I like the idea of if I can have people who don't have like an anatomy background understand, then I can understand it, and then I can explain it to my classmates, and then I can explain it to the professor whenever he's just like, what did you mean by this? And I'll be like, well. Yo, best class ever. Thanks. I appreciate it. I do. I very much sure you do. Anyway, so let's see. So another question he may ask is, a nerve fiber that carries sensory information from a muscle or joint will best be classified as what? So again, this goes back to that dorsal ventral, what's motor, what's sensory. So this is asking what is going to carry sensory information to a muscle. So because it's relating to the muscle, it's going to be related to the somatic. Soma refers to the body. So this is a general somatic afferent. Why is it afferent? Because it's that oh no, that feeling, whether you're relaxed or scared or whatever. It's that sensation that, oh no, something touched you, you weren't really sure, what was it? So that's why it's general somatic afferent, or that's how I remember. You have other ones that he's not going to really focus on, unfortunately, like your GSA. So general somatic afferent is what we said. Another one that I had that's a little bit cut off. So let's see. General visceral afferent, which is going to be visceral sensory. So anything kind of relating to like your stomach. So general visceral afferent will happen in your stomach. And it's sensory because it's like the stretching of your stomach, like when you're full or something like that. We have our motors right here, so we have the somatic efferent, so that's going to be dealing with anything muscle, like anything flexion, extension, any movement, us standing, us sitting, us doing anything will be considered general somatic efferent. While for the visceral motor, that's going to be dealing with like our heartbeat and all that stuff. Like that's things that we just cannot control, voluntarily, of course. I'm leaving school and joining Twitch school. I mean, you can if you want. But actually, Tipinya 2022, there's no certification for after this, so you can leave school, but you won't get anything other than like time spent here. There's no certification to be like, yeah, good job, Cubs. I mean, I think actually, this is way, oh my goodness. This is way down the line. I think it'd be really cute to be like, thank you, Cubs, for joining me during these study streams. Here, I get a diploma. IRL, and you get a diploma or like a little gold star. Thank you for your effort. Good attempt. Yay! Bachi. That's actually pretty much all I got from my study guide. I still have a lot of questions I still have to go through, so it kind of sucks. I didn't really get too far, and I'm hoping maybe this is something I can do this weekend with some classmates or something like that, you know? So we're gonna move away from that now. Let's see. So somehow we're done, kind of, and we're gonna move on to like muscles and the origins and insertions and all that good jazz. Okay. So it's a little off-centered. But now I will try to show off my knowledge and hope for the best. So please bear with me. This is my actual studying that I have to like sit down through and cry. So let's see. So we talked about the latissimus dorsi, or latissimus dorsi. We said and referred to this as our big boy muscle, right? Oh, thank you for the headband. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. So if it's so big, how big is it? So it's gonna insert into our external external occipital tuberance. It's going to insert to the nucheic ligament, and it's gonna insert through the C7 all the way down through the thoracic vertebra. It's going to insert to the spine of the scapula, the acromion, and the clavicle. This is going to be innervated by the thoracodorsal nerve, and the actions is that it's going to insert. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's not going to insert into the It's gonna insert to the bicipital groove. My apologies, not the clavicle and all that stuff. That it's a little inferior to that. sorry. Let's see though. Oh yeah, the actions. The actions is that's gonna internally rotate the arm, adduct the arm, and extend the arm. So let's check if we were right, okay? Ta-da! So here, oh, I wish I could show my cursor. Hold on. Oh, I could capture cursor. Yeah? Alright, cool. So right here, again, our latissimus dorsi. Oh no, I got it confused with the trapezius. Oh no, that sucks. I'm so dummy. So the origins I said were for the trapezius, but the origins for the latissimus dorsi, of course, because it's lower, is that it's going to be the spinous process of the 6th lower thoracic and the lumbar vertebrae. So T6 all the way down, it's going to insert itself into the bicipital groove of the humerus. The actions were correct with the extension, adduction, and medial rotation, with a little bonus that it draws the shoulder downwards, and the innervation was correct with the thoracodorsal nerve. Hi Salmic, hi, welcome. Bro, we even have anime class. I'll pay $1,000 to enter this class. I mean, it's free, but if you want to drop $1,000, I mean, I will not complain. that is an on you. Alright, so the trapezius, like we said, all that jazz, and then it inserts to the clavicle, the spine of the scapula, and the acromion. But again, it's going to be that C7 all the way to thoracic, the nuchal ligament, and the external occipital tuberance. It's going to have the innervation of the cranial nerve 11, the accessory nerve, and the actions is that's going to elevate, retract, and depress the scapula. So, ta-da! So we have it right here. Oh, superior nuchal line is the one that we're missing. But the distal attachments are okay, the actions are correct, and the innervation's correct. How's the back review? Well, we're getting right back into it. It was good. This was just me kind of speedrunning the flashcards just to hold myself, like, accountable. But, like, other than that, big heck off, you know? Ah, potatoes, hi, welcome back. Musculoskeletal PTSD, heck no. Yeah, I know, musculoskeletal kind of stinky. Especially, it doesn't help that each resource has like a different origin insertion and stuff, so it's just like, well, where does it really insert to? And you just have to like relearn the whole thing because it just depends on your professor. But it is whatever. But welcome. The levator scapula, alright, so the origin is going to be from the transverse process of the first four cervical vertebra. It's going to insert to, I think between the superior angle and the spine. The nerve innervation is going to be the dorsal scapular, and then the action is that's going to elevate the scapula. So we can see it right here, transverse process of the first four cervical vertebra. The distal attachment is the vertebral border between the superior angle and the spine. So yep, that was correct. Raises the scapula and draws it medially. Okay, so that's an additional action of the levator scapula. It can also draw it medially, which means that it can also retract. And the innervation is going to be the same as the rhomboids. Dorsal scapular nerve. Speaking of rhomboids, so we have our rhomboid major, not minor. So it's going to be more inferior to the minor. So this is going to insert into, I believe, T2 to T5. It's going to insert to the vertebral border as well. It's going to help with adduction and retraction. And it's going to be innervated by the, how do you call it? Dorsal scapular nerve. T2 to T5, okay. Medial border of the scapular. Oh, okay. That's fine. Still the same. Adduction and downward rotation, which is just retraction, and dorsal scapular. Perfect. And then we see a little preview of the minor, which is right above there. Alright, so for the rhomboid minor, that's actually going to insert into, I believe, the nuchal ligament still, and it's going to insert to the C7 to T1. It's going to insert in the same place, the vertebral border between the inferior angle and the spine. Or no, it's not going to do that. It's going to actually insert to the origin, or the beginning of the spine of the scapula. The root, that is the word. innervation is going to be dorsal scapular nerve, and the action is going to be, how do you refer to it? Retraction and adduction. Okay, nuchal ligament, spinous process of C7 to T1. Okay, correct. The root of the scapular nerve, because you see this is the spine of the scapular nerve starting right here, and then we see it right here highlighted. So it attaches right there at the root. The action will be adduction, downward rotation, and innervated by the same one as the major and the levator scapula. Quadratus lumborum is actually not a muscle we run into in our PowerPoint, so this is going to be a little tricky for me. I believe the origin is going to be the posterior iliac crest. It's going to insert to T12 or maybe L5. No, I think it's T12. Bleh, 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 bleh. The innervation I think is ventral rami, and the action for it is that it's going to be responsible for side bending and elevation of the pelvis opposite of it. Slightly gamer, let's go! Alright, so the origin or the proximal attachment is the posterior iliac crest, which is right here. It's going to insert to the transverse process of T12, so that was correct, but it goes all the way down to L4. It does not attach to L5. It side bends the trunk, so it's responsible for that, and it's responsible for elevating the pelvis, so it's a reverse action. It makes sense. So when you stand up, or not even when you stand up, I guess you can kind of do it when sitting. When you lean over to the right, you are, how do you say it, also elevating the pelvis, and that is what the quadratus lumborum is responsible for. So we have our multifidus. So this is the Christmas tree one we were referring to earlier. It's really good for spine extension. The innervation should be the dorsal root. Sorry, not to go backwards. I apologize. Let's see. The origin should be the transverse process, and the innervation or the insertion should be the spinous processes. I believe this goes all the way from C7 to the posterior sacrum, maybe. Oh no, it's from C4. Heck. So it's from C4 to the posterior sacrum, and the insertion will be the spinous process above that one. It does aid in spinal extension, it does side bending, but also one thing to note is that it also does rotation. So ta-da! I know, tisk. I'm gonna start right here. Oh no! Yeah, there you go. I started so I can focus on it again. No, I didn't want that. Okay. It's all gonna do that? Cool. So the subclavius one, that's so easy. It's gonna attach from, or it's gonna originate from the first rib, insert to the clavicle, hence subclavicle, because the first rib is gonna be below the clavicle. Its nerve is gonna be nerve to subclavius, and the action is going to be depress the clavicle. Yay! It's a tiny baby muscle, honestly. But yeah. Upper border of the first rib, and then attach to the inferior groove of the clavicle. We can see from this insertion that of course it's going to depress. There's really no way it can elevate it unless there's more on top. What about the serratus anterior now? For the serratus anterior, it's going to be, how do you say it? Your punching muscle. So when you go punch out, you're using your serratus anterior. The origin should be from ribs 8 to 9. Its insertion should be the medial border of the scapula. The insertion should, or the nerve innervation should be long thoracic nerve, and the action should be protract and abduction. Yeah, the serratus anterior basically is ham smashes. Pow, 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 pow. Every time you go stretch out for that fist punch, serratus anterior. You're welcome. So outer surface of the upper first, do the 8th to 9th rib. So you see, first rib all the way down, very pretty. It's going to insert the costal cartilage of the vertebral border of the scapula. So again, middle scapula, vertebral border. abduction and upward rotation. Again, upward rotation is going to be that protraction, and abduction, you want that arm to be away from the body or the scapula to be away from the midline. So that's what happens when you punch. And the long thoracic nerve is going to innervate it. This is some clinical relevance that is not necessarily mentioned in this course specifically, but for whatever reason, if you were to have an injury to your long thoracic nerve, you would get winged scapula. So that means that like the inferior angle will poke out on your back. So anytime someone looks at your back and they're like, bro, what is this? That's that. It's just your scapula poking out just casually, you know, casual stuff. I don't even want to do the supraspinatus, but I gotta do it. So let's speedrun this because we have that whole paint document. Origins is going to be the supraspinatus bassa or supraspinous bassa. Its insertion is going to be the greater facet, the superior facet of the greater tuberosity of the humerus. It's going to have a nerve innervation of the suprascapular nerve, and its action is going to have two because it's so super, and it's going to be abduction and external rotation. Supraspinatus or supraspinous fossa, superior facet, abduction ERs, and supraspinous nerve. So super! Wow! Infraspinatus is not that super, but it's gonna be in its own self-proclaimed fossa to the supraspinous or the infraspinous fossa, insert to the middle facet. The nerve innervation is going to be the suprascapular nerve, and the action is going to be only one. It's going to be dealing with external rotation. Ta-da! So below the spine, middle facet, external rotation, and of course I'm mixing the other action when I say these things. I know the sits are associated with rotator cuff, and the rotator cuff muscles are responsible to stabilize the humeral head. So that's just something I know from the get-go, but as long as I know it's individual action, I should be okay. Moving on to the teres minor. The teres minor is going to be coming from the axillary border, inserting to the lower facet of the the tubercle of the humerus, greater tubercle of the humerus, lesser facet, innervated by the axillary nerve, axillary nerve, and the actions are going to be external rotation as well. Ta-da! Axillary border, lower facet of the greater tubercle, externally rotates, axillary nerve. Bing, bam, boom. Subscapularis, again, is going to be something we see from the anterior side. It's going to be inserted to the subscapularis fossa. It's going to insert itself to the lesser tubercle. Nerve innervation is going to be upper and lower subscapular nerve. And, drumroll, da-da-da-da-da, it's going to internally rotate. It only has one action. Ooh, that's a cadaver. It's fine. Life is fine. You've seen meat before. It's fine. So yeah, internally rotate, stabilize, upper and lower subscapular, and all that good stuff, okay? So the teres major is not a part of the rotator cuffs. So what does that mean? So the teres minor, I believe, should originate from the same border. I want to say it's the not the same border. It's the lateral border of the scapula. It's going to insert into the bicipital groove of the humerus, similar to the latissimus dorsi. So when we say that and it has the same insertion, it's going to have the same action. So medially rotates, abducts, and extends. The nerve innervation for this should be the lower subscapular nerve, not axillary, unfortunately. Yep, and yep. Alright. The deltoid is something that we had talked about before. That's that fan-shaped muscle on your shoulder. It's going to originate from the spine of the scapula, the acromion and clavicle, and insert to that deltoid tuberosity of the humerus. It's going to be responsible for, it's broken down from anterior, middle, and posterior, but I'm just grouping it all together for simplicity's sake. How do you say it? It's going to elevate, abduct, and extend the arm. Continue having fun studying. I'm almost done. I got 3 more and then I gotta do Minesweeper. But have a good night there again. Please have... you didn't have to stay up so late, you weenie. I mean, obviously I know you're staying up for other things, but don't stay up so late. Take care of your health, love life, and all that good stuff, okay? Have a good night and see this with dreams, okay? Bye, 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 bye. And the action for the deltoid, or the innervation for the deltoid, is the axillary nerve. Ah! Okay, that's a little more gruesome for whatever reason, so we're not gonna look at that and say we got it right. Pectoralis major? Okay, that's a fake one. So the pectoralis major is not a muscle we got to talk about in our PowerPoints either, so please forgive me. Clavicle? Originates from the clavicle, the sternum to the T7, I think. Yeah. And I feel like I'm missing one more, and I know it's gonna eat me up, but I will let it do that because I'm not gonna stay too long on this. It's gonna insert to the is this one also bicipital groove? Let's actually check together, okay? Medial and lateral pectoral nerve should innervate this. Yeah. Alright. It's gonna... So what origin we were missing was the cartilage of true ribs. We have false ribs. Would you believe that? Yes, the distal attachment is going to be, how do you say it? The bicipital groove. It does the same actions. And medial and lateral pectoral nerves. Bam! We have the minor. This is going to be our second and last muscle. It's going to insert from... Sorry, excuse me. It's going to originate from rib strata 5. It's going to insert into the coracoid process. It's then going to be innervated by medial pectoral nerve only, and its actions are forward and backwards retraction, or forwards and downwards. There you go. But yes, there you go, there you go. Medial, we're good. And last one, brachial plexus. Oh, that's not even a thing. Don't worry, do not worry. We're done, we're free, life's good, we're good. Minesweeper. Bam! Ah, it's so blinding. Alright. Yeah? Game Minesweeper? Let me change the music now that I can listen to my own stuff. Tip a cheer, tip a cheer! I'm so good! Let's see. What can we hear? What can we hear? Da da da. Da da da. What is some good music that isn't lo-fi right now? Oh, yeah. I'm so relieved with the setting. Thank you guys for joining me with that, because that's just woof. So, I don't really recall the idea of Minesweeper. Is that really unfortunate? Sorry, the stretching. Okay, let's see. You press the number, right? Oh, and then it'll tell you how far you are away from the what do you call it? Bomb, right? So this is really close to a bomb, so I would like to click here. we're gonna fake it till we make it. Only one game though, unless I completely die immediately. And maybe here? Okay, 3. How many bombs are near the square? Oh, I'm just clicking. Oh. I'm just clicking all willy-nilly. Like, oh, no worries. Wow, that's scary. Oh. Huh. There's one bomb, so there's one bomb. Okay. Ah, so scary. There's one bomb near it. It's how many of the surrounding 8 squares are bombs. Oh. Ah. Okay. Why did I click that one? I'm sorry. No. Hold on. I'm getting my head start back. No! What? Okay, that was unlucky. Alright, let's play the game again. Alright, so there's 1 bomb, and there's 2. What about here? Okay, there's 5 bombs. I've never seen a 5 in my life. Corner starts? Okay. I like that. I like the corner starts. I don't like the corner starts anymore. No! Unlucky, unlucky. Throwing. No, it's good. All right, let's try our corner. Corner strat, corner strat, corner strat. Okay, 4. All right, let's do this. 3. So there's 3 bombs. There's 1 bomb. 2. Okay, 2 bombs. 1 bomb. Cool. Oh, nervous. 1 bomb. Cool, 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 cool. 3 bombs. Cool. If there's 3 bombs around here, there's 1 bomb here, and there's 3 bombs there. Do I want to go here? No, I literally could have just went to the side. Alright, mine super kind of sneaky. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just mad because bad. Tip of reading the numbers near clear spaces and clicking completely. No, I don't know how to read. No, I feel like it would clear out. You see, I want like stuff like that. I don't want stuff like that though. No! No! Okay. Corner start? And this is the last game. Last game. Okay. So it's within the 8 squares. Alright, so I don't want to click anywhere here. Because these are all like, oh, you got bombs, so I'll click here. Okay, cool. What are those corners? I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. Why is it like this? Anyway. 1. Thank you. There's 4 bombs and there's 1 bomb here. Because it's within the 8, right? So 1. Alright, there's a bomb right there. I do not want to click that. Don't want to click up here. Don't want to click up here. There's 1 bomb. That's all luck of the job, baby. Okay, I'm so sorry. I do have to like wrap it up because I do have to get ready to like drive up, so, or drive down or drive in a direction. So, for anyone new here, I have a Discord. Feel free to join us because Mondays we do anime night. We just finished Cowboy Bebop, so sometime we have to plan the movie. But I really want to watch JoJo if that's okay with you cubs, you know? Stone Ocean. Let's see. Thanks for streaming. I will try with more patience. Like, I'll like look at it and be like, huh? Like, maybe if we have like an art stream, I'll be like, all right, Minesweeper break, let's go. Twitter is where I keep my schedule normally. Unfortunately, I do not have my schedule up right now. Forgive me. I will try to see about streaming, but it most likely won't be until Tuesday or Wednesday, so you have to forgive me, okay? For socials, I have the TikToks, the YouTubes, and all the good stuff, so please do feel free to check us out there, okay? Check us out? Wait, it's only me, but yeah. Let's see. Thanks for the stream. Have a good weekend. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for streams. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I know how studying is, so it's kind of like actually studying with someone else. I mean, I honestly appreciate like your companies. Like it warms my heart a lot. So thank you. Yeah, we're gonna see who we can raid today. I want to again always raid someone who I haven't raided in a while or haven't raided ever. Pression, hi. Thank you for streaming. Thank you for lurking. I appreciate you. Thank you. Sorry, I keep running, like my thing keeps going over. Refreshing. Let's see. A lot of people playing Pokemon. Because I guess the new game had come out yesterday, right? Oh wait, is this one person? Oh no, I closed out a tab. No. Oh no, and they all have ads. Alright, a lot of these started pretty early, so let's see. Ooh. Maybe not this person. This person's been going on for 5 hours. Thank you for the stream. I hope I can catch you at another study stream. Yeah, I'll try to do them all like every other Friday or midweek if it's like really desperate, you know? Like, oof. Oh man, these have such long ads. I just want to see what they're doing. Or they look like they're finishing, then I'll just like go cry, you know? Oh! Okay, so forgive me, cunts. We're actually gonna be rating Froggy Lock. So they're a VTuber I saw their reference sheet, and I just thought the design was like super cute. They're doing some art right now, so again it keeps like the same chill vibes of Minesweeper and studying if you want something to watch. And the art piece looks beautiful. I don't know what she's exactly drawing. Oh wait, I'm dummy. She's using a reference. I think she's drawing Zentria. So let's see. Froggy, she's cool. She is super cool. I actually really like her design a lot. So she's a super cutie. So let's actually give our support to her, okay? So if you're not subscribed, no worries. Feel free to use the Gao raid if you still want to participate. And please feel free to use the Tipagao if you are subscribed and you are a sugar bear. We're going to give her lots of love and support, okay? I'll see you cubs next week, so please have a good rest of your weekend, okay? Lots of love to you. Stay safe, be hydrated, and do lots of fun things, okay? I'm going to copy and paste this raid message for myself. I'll see you cubs next week. Have a good one. Bye. No! Super! Thank you for the 11 months. I appreciate you. Get out! I'm getting out. Thank you for your support as a sugar bear for 11 months. 1 year almost. Ah! Okay, we're leaving.